Everyone's like PC shouldn't be able to do things consoles can't do. What about scroll
Scroll wheel
wheels?
hack.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Let's start with that tweet. Let's just start with that tweet. Here.
Uh,
Also, remember to unpause the background footage so I
I,
got that playing
yeah, yeah, I
for the
got you.
attention deprived
I got you. Can you
viewer.
can you get me the tweet before we start?
Oh yeah, for sure. Or I can probably just go to my notifications and people will still be chatting there. So wait 1 second.
Oh wait, are you talking about your tweet?
Yeah, my tweet. That
God, how much engagement did that get?
it got so much. Holy. Like I think I got like 150K. 159K.
Oh my fucking.
I was I was like, dude, the reason that Hens tweet blew up was because of this tweet. I like holy. But yeah, that's the tweet. So I don't know if you're gonna put it up on stream or not, but
Wow.
basically, Hens found out Oni cannot 180 on the PTB. Lots of people might have thought this was a bug because this happens a lot where it stuff doesn't work on the PTB. It's the PTB for a reason.
Mhm.
But then later on the forums, we got a message from one of the developers or spokesperson, something like that. I forget who. They said there's an image that goes along with this. I'll see if I can find it, but I probably won't be able to quickly. But paraphrasing here, it just said that this is an exploit, and we don't like how you use this because you go past the look angle.
Mhm.
Exploit. That's what they said. So, in my stroke of genius, I should have bought the check mark. I should have. That would have made so much money. Um, in my stroke of genius, I copied and pasted the exact same format I used for when Hug Tech was being removed on Blight
Mhm.
and pasted it on this one. The exact same tweet, just underneath an Oni 180. That's it. And it blew up. And the whole point of that tweet was for people to argue to me, because I knew this was a bait tweet. The whole point of it was to bait people to argue with me, saying, "Oh, these aren't exploits."
Right.
And I agree. I agree with them. These aren't exploits. So why is Oni one of the random characters out of everything else here is getting this treatment? And lots of people couldn't understand what I was trying to get at, which is what annoyed me. So that's why I wanted to do this podcast with you, is the difference between an exploit and a game mechanic and why the devs need to tell us what they think. That's the main reason.
Yeah, and I think
Um,
before we continue, I'm going to do the little. Hey, Code, would you like to introduce yourself real quick?
yeah, hi, I'm Code. I'm a Blight player. I play a little bit of Huntress. I'm in Flickland. It's a group that puts clips together, like old Black Ops 2 Phase did. Make montages, do it for fun. And I piss people off on Twitter, apparently.
I did too the other day. Did you see my one tweet?
Yes.
God.
Oh, dude, reading stuff. Oh, it's so fun.
Well,
Twitter's an amazing
the
place.
thing is, because similar to how you said yours was a bait tweet, mine wasn't like intended to be a bait tweet, but the point of that was to prove that if you want to be reductive enough, you can. Like
Yeah.
it's not hard. It's like some of the ideas I got for killer powers. I was like, that's actually really cool. But I had to play my character and be like, actually, that's just clown plus huntress. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing here with this entire discussion, and every time this discussion comes up, because this discussion comes up in these podcasts a lot randomly, because a lot of killers have similar things to this, is the definition between an exploit, a tech, and a game mechanic.
Yeah.
Because
So,
it seems like none of us, for whatever reason, can agree on what it is, or we cherry pick what gets to be
oh,
what.
yeah, for sure. People cherry pick in this game, whether it's not allowed or it's allowed just because of what side they're on and if it's OP against them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why people cherry pick. My whole thing behind this is that also sorry to cut you off here. The background footage is stuttering a lot, so I don't know if that's like a you issue or what's happening.
I
That's just me.
think that's just a you issue. Looks fine to me.
Oh, it is. Okay, the stream's just stuttering for me. Okay, good. Okay. Anyways, people cherry pick because it's OP against them, blah, 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 stuff like that. Us versus them kind of debate. And my philosophy is that a tech is an exploit, and an exploit is a tech.
Yeah.
99% of techs in this game are an exploit, and if they're not, you're just abusing the game's code to your advantage. And that's what I said to a lot of people. A lot of people weren't happy about me about that. And a lot of people brought up that I put down CJ Tech on my list.
Mm-hmm.
CJ Tech, technically, you're abusing the game's code because the devs didn't think about this being possible and not changing binds for breaking and picking up survivors.
Right.
So that's how that's possible because the game's code doo-doo.
Mm-hmm.
Simple fix to that, right? Same with the heal tech that I mentioned. Simple fix to that, just allow survivors to be picked up off the ground if they're getting healed. It's a simple thing, but like, it's still game breaking that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the whole thing. Like my philosophy is almost every tech is an exploit. And if it's not, you're still abusing the game's code in some way. Doesn't mean that you're getting advantage or not. It's at the end of the day, that's what an exploit is.
Well, because I think that the issue is just because maybe this is just because of how people talk, but I think it's because the word tech has kind of Marvel Rivals. I've been bringing it up a lot recently. There's quote techs in that game, but most of them are like intentional things. It's just like there's this cool little trick you can do is what they're actually trying to say.
Yeah. But in Dead by Daylight, a tech is an exploit in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And people call it a tech because they don't want it removed from the game.
It's pretty much like Wolf Hug Tech, Blight Hug Tech, Window Tech, which is still technically in the game. The Window Tech,
it is. It's still very much possible. You just need to know the timing.
Yeah. What was the one where they turned it into Cut Loose actually, which was a really smart thing to do in my opinion.
I don't even know what Cut Loose does. I'm gonna
mess up
the quick and quiet vault bug.
Yeah.
That's happening.
Yeah. They made it a perk.
Yep.
Yeah, which leads into the other idea because Chucky 180s were discussed a lot. Which, by the way, those shouldn't come back. I'm just saying, because unlike Oni, Chucky can pretty much be in his power for most of the
Chucky
match.
has his power basically every single time. Yeah.
And it gets rid of like 90% of his counterplay while he's. Anyways, I've suggested many times making it an add-on. That way, you had to at least invest something to do it. Right, you bring that add-on, and you can't bring one of his other only 3 good add-ons. But regardless, you can't bring another add-on, right? Like it's taking up that slot. It's the same thing with like and this isn't like a tech thing. This is just general game balance. Wesker having 3 bounds, I know was discussed a lot after or during and after 2v8, and I think the general consensus that a lot of people came to was it would be a cool add-on if it had a downside to it of some kind. Because then you're at least investing into having the 3 bounds, right?
Yeah, like with Blight add-on where he gets 2 more rushes, his cooldown is 4 more seconds longer, and he can't turn. Like, he has to go straight.
Right.
Which is the whole thing. So, 2 downsides plus an upside. Or 2 upsides, basically. You can look more, so like more flicks, and you have 2 more rushes. But you can't control those rushes very well, and the cooldown's longer.
Right.
That's a good add-on. I'm fine if people run Vile. I'm not upset about that anymore. What was I gonna say? And then I think they added 3 rushes to Wesker, by the way, during 2v8 to see if people would like the new killer. By the way, that's my conspiracy theory.
Would that matter though? Because the new killer would have already been in development.
The development takes 6 months, but like, I wonder if they would have done something differently if it wasn't. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Because they could have got outlook on what the community would have thought about it, and then they could have started tweaking on it then and there.
But I think for Oni in particular though, and a lot of these exploits and whatnot, I think the big thing for me because I've said in the past that I think they should become modified, right? Like if you're gonna make like Skinny Bert, like just make it an actual feature, right? Just have it not be an exploit. Find some way to make it an actual feature, whether that's by making it a score event or making it so consoles can do it better and easier and all these other things. And I think with the Oni one though, my issue with it was that it's been in the game for like 5 years.
Yep.
That was my problem with removing it when they did. It's like, okay, at this point, it's just part of the character, and you know that's another thing with it.
That brings me on to 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
When you said about putting it in like its kit, Billy, curves weren't originally going to be a thing, but then they added it because everyone's like, "Oh my god, that's so cool!" And the devs were like, "Oh my god, this is so cool!" And they added it. And you get blood point scores for it at being good at the game. And then they made the look angle. You can look more, like you have a longer time to look around to curve. For console players, because it was harder to do it on console.
Right.
And then the whole point of Oni's 180 being removed is 1, it's not possible on console, and 2, it's an exploit, right? The devs think it makes the game look bad. And to add on to the point where you're saying, what were you saying?
I was saying we should commodify it. It should just make it possible. And then I was saying,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then I was just saying like the fact that it's been in the game for so long is part of the other issue.
Yeah. That was my other point. Is that if you remember Plague, remember how they just randomly added? Oh, we fixed a bug, by the way. Her power's supposed to be removed with any stuns. That was a bug, by the way, guys. By the way, that was a bug.
The
month later, they take back their words.
The thing with the whole... That's the other thing with this, is that, like... And I don't mean this to say that... the game is buggy. Everyone knows this, okay? DRG isn't as buggy as this game, okay?
Yeah.
But my point with that is, like... So Chucky had that bug a while ago, quote-unquote bug, for where his cooldown would happen during his dash. They called it a bug. They said it was a bug fix. They said all of this. I have been told by multiple people who work at Behavior, it was not a bug, it was an intended feature.
Yep.
So why was it called a bug? Like, I don't even care that, like, do I care that they removed it? Yes, whatever, but that's not my point. Why did you call it a bug?
This happens a lot of the time. I explained this when we did the other podcast when we were with Blight. That it's the higher ups making these final decisions. So, like, lots of people would agree, like Sky Billy was insanely broken for the game. That made the game like not the best. Like, if a new player saw that shit, they'll be like, "What the fuck is this game about?" But it was harmless and it was really fun. But the higher ups saw that, it was like, that makes the game look bad. We're not gonna get enough revenue. New players are going to quit because they see our games riddled with bug. But that's not like exactly true. What makes your game look bad is if there's an obvious exploit, someone gets down and be like, what the fuck? Why did that happen? Heal Tech, for example, let's say a new killer, because MMR is brokey, goes up against actual good survivors, like that have somewhat of a brain. Survivor gets heal teched at the gate, and the killer's like, why can't I pick them up? What's happening? And then they lose a kill. They'll be frustrated and they'll be like, why did that happen? The survivors in endgame chat, oh, that's part of the game. That's called a heal tech. Like, they're going to be furious. That's allowed. And
again, like, it always brings us to the question of where is the line drawn with stuff like that. Because it's like heal tech, like, personally, I think it's fine. The problem is that if I didn't know it existed, like you're saying, it would be the most frustrating thing in the world.
Yeah, like us as like experienced players, like, we know it's a thing, so we know how to play around it. But like, if a player's never like seen that before, or is not like, can't understand what to do against it, it'd be the most frustrating thing, because that denies them a whole kill if they do it correctly.
Yeah, and I mean, like to bring up like other games, it's like jiggle peeking in or not jiggle peeking. Rainbow Six Siege back in the day had a thing where you could basically instantly go prone. Like, there wasn't any time for it, and you got like no recoil reduction. So the whole match was literally people just running around like it was a COD lobby and just like
drop-shotting people.
Yeah, just drop shot. It was just drop shotting people. That was like the game for like a year until the devs like patched it out. And you know that becomes like, is that a bug? No, that was an intended feature, but the feature was being exploited, right? Because that's the other thing with a lot of this is like intentional design as well. It's like, well, this wasn't intended, but you can do this. It's not exploiting the game or doing anything. It's just I try to think of a good example Dead by Daylight's had of this, where like
Billy curves is like the best thing.
Billy curves, Bubba's ability to tunnel with Eerie Flesh and what's it called? What's his other Eerie add-on? You know what I'm
The one where you hit a survivor and it refreshes all your charges.
Yeah, that one. Being able to tunnel with that and like just like down everybody. I can almost promise you that was not their intention with that add-on.
Yeah, they were not expecting people to run that together and be like, "Oh, well, this isn't supposed to happen." Like the whole thing with that is that one, it all comes down to the devs. One, the devs don't playtest their game enough, or don't talk to the community about playtesting their game enough. Like that's what the PTB is for, to limit test. And then devs are like, okay, that's not allowed. Let's fix that. We didn't see that when we were hiring our playtesters. Another thing is that they say stuffs are bugs or intended features, just so they don't get as much backlash in the community. Like the Chucky one you were talking about, where they called it a bug. If they said that was an intended feature first, and then said they're reverting it, one, that would make Chucky players upset because they're like, why are we reverting this now after you decided? And two, that would make Survivor players upset because they're like, why was this allowed in the first place? That's very unfair to them. And then third, we don't have a clear definition on what's a game mechanic and what's an exploit in this game from the devs. Well, the example I brought up with someone commenting under my post was Terraria. Terraria devs are awesome. They are very like clear with the community on what's allowed or not and what they intend to patch out. And then if a dev finds a glitch, sees it, and they're like, oh, that's so cool, they literally leave it in and tell the community, please mess with this.
Yeah, well, I think Terraria though is because that's not PvP at all, is it?
No, not necessarily. Like there are servers for that, but it's like very niche. It's not PvP per se, but like it's still a good example. Or like, how about I bring up B-hop again? How about
B-hopping? Oh god, that was the 90s. It was a different time.
But they were still clear with the community that they wanted to keep that in, and other games implemented it, even though that was very much an exploit in the game's code that people were abusing. Well, everyone thought it was so cool.
Yeah, and then there's like one I brought up more recently because I've been watching videos on it is Halo 2 had a. Do you know what BXRing is?
BXRing? Yes. Wait.
I'm old. Okay, so in Halo 2 was a buggy game. The
combo thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No one will admit it, by the way. No one will admit that Halo 2 was a buggy game. But even the devs have said it's a buggy game. Anyways, Halo 2 was a very buggy game. And there was an exploit, quote unquote, with the battle rifle where you could press B to melee, press X to reload, and press B to stop the melee, basically animation canceling it. And you could shoot during this. So you could basically like one-shot somebody in like half a second if you knew what you were doing. And this is why oftentimes if you talk to like Halo veterans, they'll tell you Halo 2 was their favorite because of this one specific thing. And it's so odd to me. But my point with that is in Halo 3, you couldn't do it anymore. So my question with that is, was that just them refining how the game's code? Was that them intentionally removing the feature, even though many people enjoyed it and loved it? Or was that the devs trying to like make sure that stuff like this couldn't happen again?
The devs probably saw it. Like, it's a hard call for the devs. Like, when they see a bug, everyone enjoys it. If they remove it, that's going to make the player base be mad at them. But in the devs' eyes, they're fixing an issue in their game, which is what I think behavior is at right now. Because that's why the Halo devs probably fixed that. Like, although everyone left it, it's not an intended feature, and it shouldn't be allowed in their game. And because they're making a new game, I think that's why they called the shot to change it, because it's a fresh, quote unquote, fresh new engine, right? So that was their best chance of doing it. So that brings me actually to my other point, is because we're getting like an Operation Health kind of thing. Um, I'm I'm wondering if they're going to address a lot of the bugs in Dead by Daylight and
I
try to fix them all in one go.
I don't, because I think some of the bugs are just too foundational. But I would imagine they're going to try to fix at least some of them. I mean, they said
They fixed slide vaults in the PTB, but that also might be a bug.
yeah, and then I wasn't able to test it, but they said for the third time they fixed flashbangs. So they finally
The
addressed
no
Spirit.
audio flashbangs? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not fixed.
yeah. They finally addressed Spirit bugs after enough people yelled about it. But like,
Yeah,
but the thing with a lot of these though is that these aren't like, okay, they're repeatable. Some of them are, but like a lot of these aren't like, other than the flashbang one, because the flashbang one is also a good example. I don't see anyone arguing that this is a good thing.
4v1 asymmetrical horror game. majority will be like, "Hey, this is not broken. Let's leave it in the game."
But that's what I'm saying with the flashbang one. I don't see any Survivor players saying it's a good thing that you can't hear it, or that it's a good thing that like a killer can't just look into a wall to counter it. I legitimately don't see anyone saying that.
Yep.
You know?
That's why I put only Survivor text down on that post, because I knew that would make people so mad if I only talked about Survivor. And I didn't mean to do like an us versus them debate underneath it. That wasn't my intention. It was just like I knew that was going to get more reactions. I knew that was going to make more people angry, because I hate to say this, but a lot of the Survivor player base doesn't want to talk about these techs as exploits. Like when I was playing Blight, like way back when Hug Tech was a thing, I knew fully well Hug Tech was an exploit and that was going to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was just a matter of when. And I understood why people like, oh, it's uncounterable, blah, 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 from the other side. I understood that. Same with Oni 188. I understand why the devs wanted to remove it. I know it's an exploit. I know it isn't allowed, but it's the core mechanic of that killer now.
Mm-hmm.
It was there since release. Well, it's like, it might have been there since release. We don't know, because people found it like a bit after.
Mm-hmm.
But a reason to prove my point here is when during the patch 3.5.0 PTB, I have documents of this. I was playing during this area. They changed the movement on Survivor, which indirectly removed moonwalking on Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, moonwalking is a movement exploit. No advantage, still an exploit.
Right.
Anyways, they indirectly removed that. People were like, what the hell's going on? Survivors can't moonwalk anymore. And everyone hated this. And on patch 3.5.1, the hot fix, they said that reverted a movement change. I'm going to paraphrase here because I don't remember what the exactly said. I had a screenshot of it. It's lost in time now. They reverted the movement change to survivors, even though that was intentional. So they wanted to remove moonwalking, but because the survivor player base wanted to keep this in, they didn't change it. Killer, on the other hand, I hate this making an us versus them debate for Killer and Survivor, but Killer, on the other hand, Oni, one of the 40-something killers in this game,
30, 37-ish.
37.
Okay.
Yeah, so about like 37, one of the 37 killers that isn't as popular, that gets removed, like a tech on it, tech expo, blah, 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 blah. It gets removed from that killer, and that killer player base is outraged.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have the voice to say that, and so it won't be changed at all.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the whole point of my tweet, again, is to give us that voice, because I wanted that change to not go through, even though I understood why I was going through. I did not want that change going through. That was the whole point. And luckily enough, everything about that debate blew up, and the devs were like, hey, this wasn't our intention of removing it. It is something we're looking at, but we're going to keep it in the game. No worries.
Also, to the person in chat who asked about the exploit thing, the definition of exploit, this is from Webster and Google and whatever, to make full use of and diverse benefits from a resource, which in this case would be the code of the game.
Yeah. Like, and if let's say you're right in saying exploit only means when you gain an advantage, moonwalking can give you an advantage against nurse. because it tricks them from moving. So still by definition, moonwalking is an exploit. You're still getting advantage no matter what. Like, and you can also moonwalk, and while you're zigzagging, it breaks the auto aim for this game, and then killers won't have auto aim, so it hurts people in controller. FOV tech, that brings me to oh yes, someone brought it up. FOV tech and spinning both break auto aim on killer. You can spin. If you spin, it breaks the auto aim on killer, and they can't actually hit you as well. So that's why a lot of new killers get spun so easily. Same with FOV tech. About FOV tech, I'm not talking about when they think you went behind them and they swing behind them. I'm talking about I have a clip of this. I can show you it if you want. But you can FOV tech into the killer. They can stay completely still, and they could swing into you, but they won't move because you broke the auto aim and momentum of the game. And people are like, oh, but it's fine. You don't get an advantage. I'm impressed if someone does that because that takes skill. I'm like, so does Oni 180. That takes tons of skill. Yet you guys want this to be removed? It's like...
well, I mean, the skill thing, that is a different can of worms. In fact, I think a shout out to Naya.
How about we explore that can of worms?
Yeah. So Naya literally just did a tweet about this, about the idea, because I think she was bringing up the same thing with Oni, because I think the Oni 180 debate brought out a lot of other conversation pieces. The big one being what is the idea of what killers actually take skill to play, because there were so many people saying that like Blight actually is easy, Billy is actually easy, Oni is actually easy. It was a lot. Like it wasn't like everybody, don't get me wrong, but it was a lot. But it brought into question, and this is something I bring up all the time, is how do we define what an easy killer actually is? Because don't get me wrong, if you go and watch like Numi play Billy, or you play Blight, or me play Chucky, right? We're gonna make them look easier than they are. Right, and so
yeah, for sure.
And you know, Chucky's on the opposite end of the spectrum, right? Many people say he is easy, right? And I would argue at least back in the day, his skill floor was easy, and you know that brings into the debate of skill floor versus skill ceiling. Same with like Pinhead. Like Pinhead's another one. Like there are, I'm gonna shatter, and I love Pinhead players. Rest in peace, Pinhead. I have died on the hill that I think Pinhead is actually an extremely hard killer to master. But at the end of the day...
no doubt about that.
But at the end of the day, you just kind of got to aim in front of them.
Or just like place the chain on top of them. And it's an automatic chain.
Yeah. But you, again, like it brings us to that question, especially with like Blight or Billy flicks. It's like, how hard are these actually to use, right? How hard is it to use, and what's the benefit of doing that? Because that's the thing. Well, like we brought up the Chucky 180s earlier, and it's like, to me and to some Chucky players, the 180s were too good for what they provided for Chucky. Because I mean, the amount of times that someone got through a doorway that I should not have been able to hit them through, but I was able to 180 around the doorway cover or the corner and still hit them, like, is insane. And regardless of how easy or hard it was, because the other thing with the difficulty debate that I have an issue with is, so like, because people bring up Nurse a lot with this debate too. It's like, well, Nurse can be as strong as she is because she's really hard to play.
Yeah, she's Nurse. Like,
yeah, but how far does that go? Where do we draw the line on something being difficult for how good the result is? Right? This is something League of Legends struggle with the Kali. This is something even like Overwatch struggled with this a little bit with like Tracer. You know, like if a character is very difficult to use, should the benefit, how much more benefit and like results should they be getting in comparison?
How much more lenient should the devs be, basically?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's like, okay, well, this character takes 10,000 hours to master, and this character takes 4,000 hours to master. Shouldn't the 10,000 hour one get better results than the 4,000 hour one? Most people would say yes, but like where is the line and how do we define it? Because again, what does hard to play even actually mean? Are we talking mechanically? Because technically speaking, Trapper is the hardest killer in the game to play.
Yeah, because you actually have to use your brain, which this player base is not very good with.
So, like, that brings in that question. It's like, okay, is Trapper only hard to play because he's bad? And yeah, pretty much. I was going somewhere with that, but pretty much.
Yeah, like he's a hard killer to play because one, his kit isn't very strong, but two, you have to understand how the killer works to get value out of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sure, you can default place traps at like strong windows. Survivors are gonna get caught by them, but there's some trap placements that are like, wow, I'm surprised this worked, even though I'm a good player, because you got caught out. Because you don't expect that, because you expect most trappers just to play brain dead, place trap at God window. Haha, you're good now. So like same with Blight, as you brought up. Blight's an extremely hard killer to play. Like most Blights people are versing are running 4 slowdown, but only use their rushes to catch up to the survivor.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch. Yeah, sorry. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say, I think one thing that needs to be changed in that statement is the word play.
Play, as in
like I don't think Blight is hard to play. I think he's hard to be good with. Does that make any sense?
I mean, well, anyone can play Blight and just walk people down on M1.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like actually use his rushes as they were intended in Chase.
Right.
That's playing Blight. I can play Trapper, get a 4K4, but only never place traps and run 4 slowdowns.
Right.
Right? That doesn't mean I'm playing Trapper. That just means I'm playing Killer.
I mean, it's like playing Clown without using the yellow bottles ever. It's like, are you actually good at Clown if you never use the yellow bottles?
No.
Like...
like... You can be good at a killer, not use half their kit. Like same with some Dracula players. Some Dracula players only use wolf form.
Mm-hmm.
It's really funny to me, but like they only use wolf form. And like, are they actually playing the killer? Are they actually skillful? Which is another hard thing to determine for the devs when talking about like exploits and shit, because they see all these killer players and they're like, oh, they're not using this part of the kit. I think we should buff it. And then they go on and buff that part, and then it becomes overtuned.
Mm-hmm.
I could think of many killers that are like that, actually.
Huntress.
Yeah. But like, and then let's say a tech pops up, Wesker Hug Tech. Let's talk about that one, because that one's a very controversial one.
Yeah.
Let's say the devs were talking about. They're seeing people. They saw Numi's post about hug teching, and they're like, "Oh my god, this guy's insane at hug teching," but we're gonna remove it because we don't like it. Community's gonna be outraged. But if they said, "Hey, let's make this base kit and make it really easy to do," like they did with Singularity, they made them really easy to pay. Community is gonna be outraged. So, in the devs' eyes, what do they actually do to fix this problem? Determining like what's skillful and like how to make it easier or harder.
Well,
right?
Yeah, because I mean the other thing with it, so like the Clown one is a good example, because they buffed Clown, and I think part of the reason they gave him 7 bottles was to encourage people to actually use the yellow ones more often. And the thing is, the people who were already good with Clown became absolute fucking monsters with the buff. Same with the Huntress changes, and that's you know I the Chucky changes that just happened recently, because I've been talking for a while about I break up a lot of times. I don't want the full revert of Chucky, to my dismay, and the many comments I've dealt with that. But the point I bring up with that is that me and a few other Chucky players have gotten good with the current one, right? And my fear is that if they revert him, people like us are going to become like unfucking stoppable, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing with like the hug techs, right? It's like, okay, well, if we make it easier or like actually part of the kit, the people who are already doing it and getting those benefits from it, and not necessarily benefits, but you know what I mean. But the people who are already doing it and were good at it are now going to be even better at it, and use this to more an advantage, and then you just painted yourself into a corner again. Because that also leads into the question of like, and we brought this up before with the high level, the top 1% of players on a specific character. How do we account for those in standard matches, especially in a game like Dead by Daylight with no ranked mode, when we're just going off of like MMR matchmaking that doesn't work half the time? But it doesn't. So it's like if you go up against, like, let's say, like, even 1,000 hour players, and let's say they just buffed Blight, you're going to be a fucking monster on Blight again. And there's almost nothing they can do. You know what I mean?
Again.
Yeah.
Like, they can't... That's a hard thing about, like, skill, and also looking at the text on the game, is that if they like Singularity is like the best, one of the best examples on top of my head for this. They saw how hard Singularity was. They saw some of the texts that were on him, and were like, here, let's change it so he's a little bit easier to play, and let's add some of these attacks that we see into part of the core game.
Mm-hmm.
Singularity players did not like that. They changed how their killer works, but then those Singularity players just became so much better at them, and so many people were coming to play that killer. So in the end, although it's like the trolley problem, like,
mm-hmm.
like
it's save one or save three. Yeah, it's save one person or save three people, right? it's again, like, the Singularity one's weird too. I forget he has auto aim half the time. I don't use it.
Yep.
I don't use it. I forget it's there. Which is why part of the complaints about the auto aim making him too easy. I'm like, I barely see anyone using it most of the time. I'm just gonna say that.
When I played for those changes, I didn't even know that there was auto aim until someone told me.
Yeah, I accidentally use it sometimes, and I get mad because it takes longer to mark someone when you use it.
Oh, that's really funny, actually.
Yeah. Did you not know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it takes like an extra half second to mark if you use the auto aim. They didn't.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
holy shit.
Well, the thing is, they made it, quote, optional because they saw the people complaining about it. So what they did was, instead of making it like a feature, they made it an option you have, but it also has a downside to doing it. That was the whole point. That's why I don't understand the complaints about making him too easy. He literally plays the same he always did. The only difference is now you don't have to bring Somas, which I wasn't bringing anyways when I used to play Singularity. And you can auto aim if you want, but I don't know anyone who does. Unless they're on controller, which kind of segues into another problem.
But yeah, it's just like this discussion here is like, for the devs, it's hard to tell what they should add or not without the players' feedback. But then the player base of Dead by Daylight is a whole bunch of piss babies that just yell and scream instead of actually having a general discussion.
Well, because the other thing is because I bring on all kinds of killer players on here for every killer, and for the most part, when I ask them the question of what would you change about your killer, unless like they're an abysmally bad killer like Trapper or Myers, most people say nothing. Like, maybe some add-on tweaks, but most people say nothing.
I forget what I said about mine, actually. Oh, it was the collision.
Yeah.
The collision.
Well, which in my opinion is something they'd have to fix with the whole game, not just Blight.
Yeah.
Because like even Xenomorph, right? I had Brandon here, like, fucking, it's almost been a year. It's been over a year now, talking about Xenomorph changes that they would want, and nothing. It's pretty much nothing. Same with like Nemesis from Horserer. It was like, a couple quality of life stuff and add-on adjustments. The only killers that typically people will say, like, I want like a bunch changed is like the Trappers, the Myers, the Freddys, the Skull Merchants now. because even like when Pixel was on here for the original Skull Merchant one, this is before the rework, by the way, or the whatever you want to call it. The only thing Pixel said was making like adding an entire mechanic to her kit of like her being able to shock people with traps on them, similar to Doctor. But that's the thing with a lot of this is like, because then it comes down to like with the techs and exploits is like the Oni 180s. Like the real question I think this comes down to, regardless if it's a tech or an exploit, is does it need to be changed? Right? I think that's where a lot of the frustration comes down to, because a lot of people, especially when they saw it, was like, why are we even touching this?
Yeah, that was the main concern with like most players, even like especially Oni players. Like that was their main concern is like, why are you touching a like what 6-year-old killer with a 5-year-old tech on it or whatever the numbers are for that? Like, why are we changing this? And that was the most frustrating thing I've heard from a lot of Oni players. Like, why are you doing this to my killer?
Oh, hang on. Chat just gave me the actual definition of exploit. An exploit is a method or piece of code that takes advantage of vulnerabilities in software, applications, networks, operating systems, or hardware, typically for malicious purposes. The term exploit derives from the English verb to exploit, meaning to use something to one's own advantage. That's from Wikipedia. Okay. So
what about a video game exploit? What's that definition? That sounds more like a computer vulnerability exploit.
Well, I mean, this also again, this comes
if we take that at face value, exploit to gain an advantage. That's basically all it said. Right. Exploit the game's code in order to get an advantage. Can you give me one tech in here that actually doesn't have an advantage? One tech in Dead by Daylight doesn't actually have an advantage.
That doesn't have an advantage?
Yes.
Depends on how loose you want to be with the word advantage.
No, just tell me one that doesn't have an advantage in this game.
Offhand, I probably couldn't say, honestly.
Yeah, like we would have to look. We have to scour the edges of the earth to figure out what actually doesn't count.
Well, yeah, and
actually doesn't fall under that definition.
Well, yeah, and then again, like with the whole idea of like with the Chucky thing, like I said, where the devs called it a bug, and then later we found that it was actually a feature that also plays into this. It's like, how do we know if something is an exploit or if it's intended? Same with like the CJ tech, right, or heal tech. It's like, is that technically an exploit? Yeah, but at the same time, it's really just an oversight when you think about it.
Yeah, exactly. But we don't know what's what because the devs aren't talking to us because they hate us or something. I don't know.
Because they hate us. Well,
but like running back to the definition of what an exploit is, what was I going to say? If the devs actually told us what's an exploit, what's a game mechanic, that would clear up literally everything we're talking about.
Okay.
That'd make like things a billion times easier.
Okay. The video game definition of exploit. An exploit is the use of a bug or glitch in a way that gives a substantial, unfair advantage to players using it. However, wait, is that an example? However, whether particular acts constitute an exploit can be controversial, typically involving the argument that the issues are part of the game and no changes or external programs are needed to take advantage of them. I think that last part is actually probably where most of the argument comes from.
Yep. And that's literally exactly what we're talking about now. Like, it's part of the game. People are like, oh, it should be fine because it's in the game. We've been using it for years. It shouldn't be an issue. Yet they do stuff to Oni like this. Or to Blight, right? And it's just like, why are you doing this, but then leaving all this other stuff in?
Well, again, in an ideal world, all of the exploits would be gone or made mechanics. In an ideal world.
Or the ideal world, the devs actually talk to us. Like, the bottom line of things, the devs actually talk to us.
I mean, they've been better about it. They've been a lot better about it, I think.
Yeah, they're getting a lot better, but like, it's like your dad come back for 20 years. He's actually talked to you for once. Like, yeah, he's doing better, but like, is it really better, man? But like another point of that actual definition is let's say we're a little loose about the word advantage here, right? Because that would be fair. now we're cherry picking,
Mhm.
which is another issue we have. So that's why I'm under my philosophy: either everything's an exploit or nothing's an exploit.
Well, again, as with most things, it has to, like, I feel like it has to be taken case by case. But the big problem with case by case is that everyone has differing opinions on how hard it is to do, how much of an advantage it actually causes. Is it worth even doing most of the time? Like Skinny Birds is like a good example of this. Like, is that like are Skinny Birds like an actual exploit? Yes, I think most people agree it's an exploit. The reason why it's considered a tech though is because it's hard to do. But coming back to the whole skill argument, what does that even mean? Because if you practice something long enough, it's not hard to do anymore. Unless it's just hard to do because like the circumstances that cause it are like not common. But considering I see like 20 or 40 clips of it every day, I don't think they're as uncommon as someone let it go or let it be perceived as.
And like the only reason things get fixed is because either they're brought up before like a hot fix, or it's like an actual game breaking bug. Like literally someone argued in the comments under my tweet that that locker exploit that survivors can go to a locker with a flashlight and just stay there
Yeah.
without getting injured. They said that's not an exploit and that's balanced.
Okay.
I don't know if they were baiting or being genuinely serious,
All right.
because their account had like 600 followers and they weren't like in a like unserious tone. Like they seemed like they were being like truthful here. They weren't hornswoggling me here.
Okay, the first part of that is not an exploit. While I disagree with the statement, okay, whatever, make your argument for that. The second part of that, what?
Yes, that's what threw me off. Balanced? No, it's not. But like, they're like, oh, that got patched out. That means they can patch out Oni 1.8. That was their whole argument. I'm like, that's not even remotely similar. Like, good point to make, but
Well,
that's like going back to the olden days. Oh, they patched out Chainsaw Myers, but
well,
they let emote sliding. They let emote sliding stay.
so okay, like bringing up like another game, like okay, and this is like theoretical. This actually might have happened. I don't know. Let's say in Call of Duty, World War or Modern Warfare 2. Let's say there was an exploit that you could do where you can get a tactical nuke after your first kill. Let's say that was a thing, and they patched it out. Like, would people argue that it was actually fine? Like, and I feel like that's kind of what the
For Call of Duty though, for like most games like that, because it's not. There's no role in that though. It's just everyone basically playing the same character. So there would most likely be a majority that will be like, hey, yeah, this was not okay. Or like, hey, yeah, we kind of wanted this in the game. Dead by Daylight, on the other hand, there's two sides of a coin, and it's an us versus them debate for everything. Like if something... what's something I can think of that's like
I can.
Wait, let me go back to my list here.
Okay, here's one that this is from League of Legends, and this isn't, and this is the one I think straddles the line actually of the word definition. Do you know what inting Scion was?
Where he would run it down and die, but like actually come back because it's Scion.
Yeah, and then he would just destroy the tower and keep doing that over and over again.
Yep.
I think that's actually a good example from a different game, because while League of Legends isn't like cited, you can't, at least in the ranked mode, you can't play the same characters as everybody, right? Everyone gets the one character they play. And I think, and that was literally like basically unbeatable, right? If the Scion player knew what they were doing, right? Because they would just literally die. You would kill them, they would die, and they would just rush down your tower.
Pop their passive and then rush it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, and that was patched out, kind of. They just made it so he doesn't do that much damage to structures in the mode. But again, like that brings into question though, like is something like that an exploit or was that intentional because the devs or an oversight because the devs just didn't think of that? And
that's actually an excellent point to bring up when you say oversight. Like you've been saying oversight a lot. That's actually probably like a really good thing to bring up. Is that like CJ Tech, Heal Tech, Window Tech, stuff like that? those were probably oversights.
Right.
Because we're like, we didn't intend for this to happen, but it kind of did. And for one of those three, Window Tech, they actually tried removing it from the game. They made it like 1,000 times harder.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like getting a flashbang save where you actually have to time it properly. It's still possible, but it's really hard to do.
Right.
But all those examples, that's actually a really good point. They were probably oversights. And I should have. Fuck, bro. You should have contacted me before I posted that tweet. That would have been so good to say.
But
Yeah, those were probably oversights, and a lot of those oversights just turned out to be exploits.
Well, yeah, and then like it brings into question like other things like Chucky 180s. Like his turn rate was capped, but not. But people found a way to break the cap. To me, that's not an oversight. That's just they didn't like the code was just messed up.
That's exploiting.
Yeah, that's an exploit. Yeah. And the same thing with the Oni ones. Like his turn rate isn't capped, is it?
Like, it is on. Yeah, it is. Though how to do an Oni 180 is you have. It's not about the sensitivity in the game. If you're anything over. I don't know the exact number, but I know you can do it on 1200 DPI, which a lot of people play on, by the way. Some people even play on 1600, which is what most Oni players do. But it's literally, you're just flicking fast. That's all you're doing.
Right.
Like, you could do it on 800 DPI theoretically, but you have to have a big mouse pad and, like, move your arm at the speed of light. You have to be really good at playing piano. Like, it's possible, but because it'll be harder. Like you're breaking the all in end. You're breaking the locked turn rate.
Well, yeah,
on console you can't do at all.
Well, because it's an example I brought up before is it's like a steering wheel in a car, right? A steering wheel, for anyone who knows how cars work. I know this is a weird thing to bring up. There's a thing called a steering gear. It's basically the metal rod that connects the steering wheel to the axle. Anyways, it has a lock on it, so you can't like turn your wheels 180 degrees. However, if you are strong enough, you can 100% break that bitch. I've seen it happen. So like it's like that. It's like the lock is there, right? They intended the lock. Like, they intended the mechanism to work in this way where it has a position where it stops. But if something can come along and break that, which is what an exploit is, then, like, what is the car manufacturer supposed to do? Like,
it also doesn't help that this game runs on frames instead of ticks.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a more common thing that's happening now, because the same thing happened in Marvel Rivals with some stuff. Because like some characters were able to get like more DPS because they
lower frame rate.
Yeah, because at lower frame rates.
That was really funny. But that's the whole thing. Like that's a really good point to bring up with the frame rate is that Wesker can exploit easier when he's on. Sorry, his exploits work better if he's on a lower frame rate. Like if he hug techs on 120 frames per second, it's a lot slower and doesn't go as far. But if you hug tech on 90 or 60, it's faster and it goes much farther, but it's harder to do.
Mm-hmm. But and I mean, we'll get into like the more because I think it's starting to get into the other part of this conversation of controllers, but this is more on like the periphery side, right? But like again, it's like that brings into the question too of like the game is frame based, but like is that an oversight? Is that just inherent to the game's code and there's nothing they can do about it? How would they even go about fixing it? Should they go into fixing it? You know what I mean? That's just the problem. The biggest problem with this entire debate that's been going on, and which was demonstrated, I think, really well with your tweet, is that, and it's always been there, right? It's like people are fine with Wesker's exploits, but for some reason blights were a problem. And I'm not even going to sit here and say they weren't an issue. I think Blight's hug techs were.
Blight's hug techs are an issue. Wesker's hug techs are an issue if you know how to do them correctly, right? Which is another part of the skill thing. But like I know you're getting to, like, why fix this but not the other kind of thing.
Well, I think that the thing with that is because as much as I love whataboutism, I think the problem with that mentality of like why fix this and not this is just like what if they're going to fix the other one later?
Yeah,
like
which is true, but we don't know that.
Exactly.
I bet the devs know about all these exploits, but they're on the back burner because one, they don't know how to fix it, or two, are waiting for the right time to fix it.
Yeah, if someone cooks you two sandwiches, right, and you eat the left one, they're not going to be like, "Why didn't you eat the right one?" Well, it's because I'll eat it later. You know, you're not just going to shove two sandwiches in your mouth. Like, that's a weird analogy. That's what I just did. That part's cut out of the podcast. They have no idea what you're talking about.
They'll be so confused what I'm talking about.
But like again, like with the Oni 180s in particular, is because the big argument is like, oh well, it gets rid of an advantage, right? And while technically true, like again, the argument just comes down to for the skill it takes to do it, for the situation it's applicable in. I think that's
something funny though as well with that point about fixing it, whether it's skill based. It actually comes down to a bigger issue: is their actual code for the game. Funnily enough, I'm going to explain this to you. It's really funny. I bet you already know this. The way they fix Blight Hug Tech is by giving his rush collision detection system around him Wesker's rush collision. When you're holding his power, that hitbox, not like dashing, obviously, where it's pre-directed. When you're holding his power, you know how if you go close enough to a wall, you can't rush? That's what they put on Blight. But Wesker uses Artis's Bird's collision for his dashes. But Artis uses Deathslinger's collision detection. So Wesker uses Artis's code, but Artis uses Deathslinger's code. So in order to fix Wesker Skinny Burt, like you said, they have to fix Artist, but then they also have to fix Deathslinger.
Yeah, and I never really even thought about this when they locked Chucky to 90 degrees. I'm curious if that affected Victor at all.
They probably had to actually code something for once.
Well, and again, like it comes, it's just like, I think on behavior side also like comes down to a question of like, is it worth it? Like you're describing all this to fix like the fix Wesker, you would have to fix Artist, which means you have to fix this, which means you have to fix this. The question with Oni is like, well, what all do they realistically have to do to quote fix it?
Put on Chucky's coding onto Oni.
Yeah, probably more than likely.
That's my bet.
But
because they literally swing the same, like the whole thing with Oni 180s is the whole special thing about them is doing it in the least amount of frames possible. If you remember talking with Pandas about Oni 180s at all, doing a 1-frame Oni 180 is like the big deal, right? So if you're on 800 DPI, for example, and you can't quite get past that 90 turn rate threshold that they're talking about, you can still 90 in 1 frame. That's still very much possible. You just can't go past that turn rate. But when I saw Hens's tweet, it was slow like Chucky's. So, conspiracy theory, did they try something? Well, like, who knows?
I mean, but that I think leads into the other part of this conversation of the fun aspect of it, because I got some words about that one, but because I think that's the biggest criticism with it as well, especially on, more so I feel for like Wesker, and this was the debate for Blight as well, because the common argument against removing it was, well, if they remove it, Blights are just going to use bounce logic, and you guys are going to hate it.
And that'll make Blight boring to verse.
Yes.
Guess where we are now.
Well, I don't
Lots of people don't like versing Blight.
I think there's other reasons people don't like versing Blight than that. But the question is like with something like that, because if you're someone like me who doesn't care then that was already a problem anyways.
Mhm.
So like, I think it's not a nothing argument, but I think it's just a hard.
Nothing burger argument.
Well, I don't want to say it's a nothing argument because it definitely is an aspect because this got
It just
brought.
can't go anywhere, kind of thing.
Yeah, because it got brought up with Chucky 180s. It's like, oh well, I want them to keep it in because it's fun. Yeah,
Okay.
for you, but it was also like too good. Like, and then and you know that's where the thing with the Oni one comes in is it's like the main argument is it's fun to do as Oni, and this is the main reason people play him. And this gets brought up with Wesker a lot with a lot of Wesker's exploits and techs. And the thing, my argument with that, and I know I'm going to get hate for saying this. I feel like if the only reason you enjoy a character is because of things they're not technically supposed to do,
That's not a good thing.
yeah, it's not a good thing. I like, don't get me wrong. Like, the funny thing is, we've seen this since the PTB launched. Who are a lot of Wesker players moving to? It's almost like
Can't place my finger on it.
it's almost like because the new killer took the idea of those exploits and made them a feature. Like,
then guess what? We found another exploit on it because you could look away from the window and like glide across walls, or like look away from the wall, you glide across when you get more distance. That was an oversight.
yeah,
If because that I actually think about it now, that's probably an oversight. But they might leave that in because that's not really game breaking per se. Because you kind of have to run a certain add-on to make it actually useful.
well, we don't know about that yet. Did you hear what they said about his you talking about the apron add-on?
No, coffee.
Coffee, yeah. But did you hear what their
Yeah, they're adding it base kit. I heard about that.
Well, no, they said they're gauging feedback to see if they should add it base kit and make it the reverse. So the devs basically said, or the dev basically said that they weren't sure if they should make the slide base kit and have the add-on lower it by 100%, or do what they did where they lowered the base kit by 100% and had an add-on that lets you raise it. They weren't sure which route to go, and they're still gauging feedback on which route they should go. Which is still an interesting like concept there too, because I don't think they've ever done anything like that. Because again, that brings into the idea of like adding like these techs and exploits, like removing them, but like adding them back in with an add-on. It's a little different because it's not really the sliding isn't an exploit; it's literally part of the kit. But again, like it just comes down to like this idea of quote removing fun. But it's like I don't know. I feel like if you're only playing Blight, Oni, and Wesker for their techs, not saying like that's not a part you enjoy, right? Obviously, if you enjoy Blight, but also really enjoyed gotta use the past tense, really enjoyed hug techs, like more power to you. But if the only reason you were playing Blight was because of the hug techs, I feel like that's a problem.
Yeah, like looking at a lot of the blights that were like, oh, don't remove hug tech, it's really fun, and it's actually not OP. You can counter it very easily, sure. But like looking at a lot of the playstyle those blights do, they're relying on hug techs for most of their rushes. And I'm like, if you ever see it, like beforehand, I would tell people, if you ever see a blight bump at a wall, look down and continue going towards the wall to make out with it, just run the other way because they don't know where you went. But then there's a really good players, tooting my own horn here, like myself, you would only look down or up at the last second possible, or you would use your bump backwards to go for a hug tech to make it. And that is almost uncounterable unless the blight messes up. Did you miss or did he dodge? The blight missed, okay? The blight missed. If he didn't get the hit, the blight missed because he's better at the game. But anyways, that was the whole thing. It's like if you're good enough on this killer, yeah, you can use the exploits, but those good players also don't need said exploits to be good at that killer. And only like the newer players suffered mostly.
I forgot. I don't know if it was a tweet or a video I saw by somebody who was talking about the Blight one in particular, and the point they brought up too as well was because going back to the argument of like if you remove this, then Blights will just use bump logic and they'll just be better. But the point I think they brought up was, I don't know if it might have been you, but someone was bringing up.
It was probably me.
They were bringing up the point that hug techs like allowed you to like make up for a mistake. Like basically using hug techs.
No, that wasn't me.
Yeah, basically using hug techs was kind of playing the killer wrong, and that comes back to my
that actually might have been me and some other people, but if you're solely using hug techs to bump around, you're throwing for a clip usually. Like a hug tech, there's no difference between using a hug tech and going around something, except maybe you're using one more rush. Like you're using 4 rushes instead of 5 if you use a hug tech, right? That's literally the only difference. And 2 more seconds for my rushes to recharge. Like, sure, like it's not very uncounterable, and it does give you an advantage, which is why they removed it. But at the same time, you're actively throwing to do that, which was a big point that I brought up in my espionage, quote unquote espionage that I did for the devs, is that I explained to them, fine with removing it, I understand why, but here are some points you might want to consider, stuff like that.
Well,
even though it's too late, when they announce a change like this, they have paid people to make these changes. They are not going to redo them, which is the issue.
Well, I think like and this kind of goes into like Wesker and Oni as well, is like going back to playing the killer quote wrong. So like with Oni, for example, whenever they're trying to balance Oni, which I don't think they touched Oni other than this in like 4 years or so. But the question becomes then is like, okay, when they're like trying to buff or look at the balance of a killer as well, should they be taking these into account? So like Wesker, for example, it's like, okay, give Wesker 3, okay, let's say in theory, they give Wesker 3 bounds in 1v4. If they make that decision, should they be taking into account the fact that Skinny Burt and like hug techs are possible, right? Because that I feel like that does need to be taken into account if you're going to give him a whole other dash or lower his cooldown or do anything else.
But then if they take that into account, then they're also considering that a game mechanic now.
Exactly, and then I think that like goes cyclical with like the Blight one, because they got rid of the hug. Did they get rid of the hug techs in the same patch? They did a bunch of adjustments to him.
Add-ons were first, then hug tech was second.
Yeah. So my best guess was they knew they were getting. I mean, we've known they were getting rid of it for a while. They said it like 2 years before they did it, which is a different conversation. But we knew they were getting rid of it. But tells me that they knew they could start adjusting Blight, because I have a feeling the hug techs were part of the reason that they didn't nerf him or like do any adjustments to him. Whether Blight needs to be nerfed or not is, again, a different topic. But like, my point is, when they were assessing how good or bad Blight is, I have a feeling they were taking the ability to hug tech into account before they made any adjustments.
Yeah, let's talk about that Eerie tag change.
Oh yeah,
Ken tries to get right. I don't think they were taking into account infinite rushes with hug tech. I think the whole point was for to be for new players to be like, hey, you can't hug tech anymore, but here you go, infinite rushes. Like,
but I mean,
I bet that was what they were thinking.
I mean, again though, like whether or not they got it right, that's. I mean, how many times did they release? I mean, have you seen the new Killers with Eerie add-ons? Like,
it's Legion, and then Plague's add-on, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But worse somehow, because it only breaks the paladin on the third dash, which just make it every dash. Anyways, like, would it really be that busted if it was every dash? Like, honestly, Just make it every dash while you're enraged. That's all you got to do.
Some guy that was having an actual general discussion with me, like we were in on it. Like we weren't like throwing names at each other. We were being like serious and having like an actual discussion. This is the only guy that it took seriously under my post. And we're having a genuine discussion about what I said and what the points were being made. And that he was like, "Hey, can we do this on Discord?" So because I hate the Twitter character limit. I'm like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." And we talked for like an hour about my post, and I explained my point clearly because I don't have to deal with Twitter about the point I was making. It wasn't about that these exploits are in the game. It's about why some of these are considered non-exploits, why the devs are not telling us what they consider fine, and why are they fixing this niche stuff instead of like an actual issue like crouch deck or the holding hostage if you like frame limit.
Well, I think, and this is remember how I've said a few times the reason why Behavior doesn't like, or any game company usually doesn't say anything about like what's coming, is because they don't want to give false promises, right? Which I disagree with that sentiment, but regardless, that's how most game companies work.
I understand what they're trying to do, but
I think the thing with you saying like why don't they tell us what is a tech and exploit and what's intended, or like what they're okay with, is for a similar reason of once they define what's okay, they might have to contradict themselves later.
Yeah, which is what I understand. But they did that. They've proven they know how to use their words properly, like not like a toddler, because they said about Oni 180, hey, this was unintended in the PTB. That should still be possible, but we are looking into it. We might change it, and if we do, we'll actually do it properly. They have said that is intended for now, but if they were to change it, because they are looking at it, they'll actually do it properly. They know how to use their words. They're just not using them.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I think the other problem with that is spoiler. Thank you for the hydrate. I think the other problem with that is because like wasn't there a dev that said it was they were removing it, and then later on they said it wasn't, and I think that was another problem. I'm pretty sure that was a communication issue, if anything. Which it's a whole separate thing because it's like,
I love Dead by Daylight. Like, dude, the devs, it's just like, it's not even the devs, it's just like, what is it? The company's higher up, I think, is messing up a lot of what they're doing.
Again, I think I have faith this year because it seems like they're finally.
I'm excited for this Operation Health, yeah.
Because it feels like they're finally like getting rid of the cobwebs and fixing things. And from the sources I have, the reason for a lot of the problems Dead by Daylight has had over the most of the years it's been around is because there was too many people in charge. And they're starting to downsize. Not downsize is the wrong word because that implies firing. They've started to reallocate,
manage, and minimize things. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because again, I've talked about this in the past before. It's like when you have like 3 managers in the same position, it's fucking chaos. It shouldn't be. You would think, oh, there's 3 people in charge, it should go smoothly. But no, that causes way more problems than it should. But when you get like one person who's in charge of this department instead of like 4, because again, my theory is that's why changes took so long. Because
they had to get acceptance from everybody.
Well, not even necessarily acceptance, but like you had to get understanding from everybody, right? It's like, okay, well, we need to like Made for This. Let's say like Made for This was a problem, and I think what the reason why it took 6 months to fix wasn't because Behavior didn't know how to fix it or because it wasn't an issue. It's because there was like 5 different people saying, no, this is how you fix it, and no one could agree.
Yeah. Okay.
Because, I've said this in the past, like, I for a lot of game companies, I don't care most of the time with their final, let me rephrase that. If their final decision is something I'm not the biggest fan of, that's fine, but make a decision. And that's something I think Behavior wasn't doing for the longest time for a lot of stuff. And for the 180s, it seems like, honestly, they are making the decision, at least as of now. But again, it leads into the question of what about the other stuff? Because again, if they're not going to define what it is, how the fuck are we supposed to?
Yeah, and then that sprawls fights in the community, and then the community is just going to reflect that outwards towards the devs.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're not going to like the community like they haven't before. They were scared of the community making changes.
I wonder.
It's just sorry.
I was gonna say, I wonder how bad of an idea it would be if they had a manager type person for every single killer in the game.
Like they look at the comp teams. They're like, "Oh, I like this guy. He should be on Blight.
Well,
this guy should control Blight."
Like, could you imagine like there's a manager for every killer, and then there's someone above them with final say, though, like for checks and balances purposes?
That would be good to implement, actually. I
would it though?
I mean, that's what they did with. I'm gonna bring up Hens here because Hens is the only one that's outwardly speaking about this. But like Hens being a voice for changes.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh yeah, you know those changes that everyone rejoiced for. I helped with that, by the way.
Thank you for the Chucky changes, Hens. Okay, moving on.
Yeah. So like, Hens is a comp player, understands a lot about this game, and is a big content creator and has influence over a lot of what's being said and done around the game. So him being put on as like a help with balance is insane. That's awesome because that's better for the game overall. Because if they do like a community vote, being like when they do those surveys, people are voting for like the most stupidest shit. It's because most of the player base doesn't understand how the game works at like a fundamental level.
Well, I wouldn't even say that necessarily. It's just, I think most of the player base just wants something different from the game than the rest of us.
Yeah, and each side also wants something different as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't help.
Well, because I mean, I think the 2v8 thing is a good example of this because it's like, they did the, in the circles I'm in, including myself, a lot of us hated 2v8, right? I enjoyed 2v8 for what it was, but like I didn't like I
didn't play Dead by Daylight during all of 2v8's existence because the queues were too long and because I wasn't really interested in 2v8. But tons of the players loved it because it was basic perks, easy to understand, and it was just general fun.
Exactly.
It wasn't like overly complicated where you have to memorize 8 pages of like have 24 perks each.
And with the Hens thing, it's like I'm glad Hens is on the consultant team, but like I feel like we do need a mix, right? You need the comp players. You need the people who don't play the game because that's the thing. People always complain the devs don't play their game. The thing is, I don't think when people say that, I'm curious if they mean at all because I seriously fucking doubt that, or if they're just saying
they don't play the game enough to like actually be good at the game and understand like
does a dev
should be allowed or not.
But does a dev have to be good at the game to work on it?
No. Okay. What's that one dev that got like into shit and like streamed a lot? I forget his name. But I forget his name, but he got into like some shit with the Behavior because he was saying all these things while being like an absolute bad player and be like, oh, this is why I want this to be changed. Like blah blah blah, stuff like that. And then they end up getting changed eventually. Like, this isn't okay. Or like Matthew Kote when he went to that, was it Japan or Korea?
Yeah, with the flashlights and they got
but it's like stuff like that. Like because they don't play their game, they don't like I wouldn't say okay, they play their game, but they don't play it enough to understand what's okay or not, or like what needs to be fixed.
But again, like the question with that comes down to like where is how much do they need to? And like even if they play the game a lot, that doesn't even necessarily mean they're looking at the game in that perspective because they're they're making the game, so like they're looking at it from a completely different perspective than the rest of us, even when they are playing it.
Yeah. When if you remember the lights out reveal, you know how like four was it or five people like five devs were playing it? Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Three devs were playing it and then two like art directors or game directors, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The devs never looked behind themselves in chase and they were getting two tapped.
Right.
Like and then the community's watching this and like I don't really trust these people to make changes in this game anymore.
Well, I mean, the thing
Doesn't mean that they shouldn't make changes. It's just like they see this and like we're getting shit changes. This is probably why. Like if they don't like a change that's happening, for example.
yeah, and but the question with that one though, especially in a situation where it's like, okay, well the devs are bad at their game, but it's like I don't, I don't necessarily see that as a especially now that they have the consultants.
It can be a problem, but it isn't the biggest problem.
Because I mean, I have you seen Apex devs play their game?
Yeah.
Like, have you seen fucking Bungie devs play their game?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I can't think of a game developing company where most of the team working on the game are even remotely good at it. The only one I can think of, actually, you know, there is an example. Warframe.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
the devs love their game. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's not even to say the devs of this game don't love this game. I like for the most part.
I mean, I meant like love as in this is their main game.
Yeah. Well, because I kind of get it. It's like, you know, like I work on this game all day. I don't want to play it in my off time. But I don't like. Again, it's just it takes all kinds. You know, all that stuff. I don't know. I don't have a problem with even if it's most of the devs not being that good at the game. But I think obviously that line of like how bad can they actually be is the other problem. But
If I see it like let's say someone doing a balance change for like the survivors like gen speed, right?
mm-hmm.
And this is coming from like a killer only player on behavior's team that plays Legion with no gen slowdown and is just like not the best of the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's calling the shots for this. I wouldn't trust him to make those decisions.
Well, I mean, because there was also like bringing up League of Legends again. There was like for when I was in the community for that game, there was like a massive debate on whether people on the balancing team should be a certain rank before they're allowed to be on the balancing team.
That's funny.
It was a legitimate argument people were having. It was like, well, you should be at least this rank if you work on the balancing team. And I think it's like a similar argument. And I'm not saying like you're saying it in this way, but I feel like
it's a similar argument. Yeah, like you have to be like this good to like have balance changes.
Well, because you know something else that gets brought up a lot is like coaching, right? Like I know plenty of coaches for certain games that are ass at the game. They can't play the game to save their lives, but they can coach it.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a similar vein. It's like, yeah, the devs kind of suck at the game, but they can probably still come up with decent balance decisions at some point. Now, I think the bigger problem is that
I don't doubt like some of like the badder players on like the dev team come up with good decisions, but I feel like because they play the game and they aren't the best, they don't. I forget what it's called, but like if you're working for like a nonprofit organization and you're taking a vote on something, and you have like I forget what it's called, but you can't make the decision because you have like an involvement in it.
right.
I forget what the word is, but like you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, so you're saying like because you're going, I'll let you elaborate.
Yeah, like they shouldn't be allowed to weigh in as much because they have like this as like a secondary opinion. Like if I was like, okay, let me bring up game. I'm not very good at League of Legends. Like I could play it. Like I'm not the worst, but I'm not the best. But if I bring up like a balancing topic, I shouldn't be allowed to make I shouldn't be allowed to make changes or have like an outward opinion on it. Like I should be taken into consideration, But because I have this otherworldly view of it, it kind of like, what is it called? Convinces me that I should make changes for myself, or like not for myself, but like make changes because of the experiences I had.
But I think it's just a disconnect with just how, because they're on the team. Like there's no changing that. We can't like affect the hiring practices of behavior.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. But I was just wondering because like, has that actually ever been into consideration at all,
What has
or
what?
do they just look at statistics and then do a vote?
I mean,
Kind of thing.
I would hope, especially because it seems like, at least, especially over the past year, they've been a lot more nuanced with changes. Some for the better, some for the worse. Because the thing is, I mean, remember the Twins rework?
Yeah,
I mean, how can we forget? But like, it didn't go through, and like the Xeno changes currently, like I don't think that's going to go through. At least how it is. And I think that the other thing is like, maybe this is with the Oni 180s, right? It's like, okay, what if they like test it? Like I know there was the ongoing like tinfoil hat theory that they were just gauging the waters to see, one, if anyone noticed, and two, if anyone cared. I know that was like an ongoing theory for a little bit.
oh, I'm still ongoing. I believe that's 100%.
Um, but
But
that's
yeah,
but my point with that is like, well, we don't know, and but isn't that the whole point of a PTB?
yeah, to test it.
Yeah. The counter argument to that is that it wasn't in the notes. So
My thing as well is that slide vaulting got removed in the PTB.
mm,
So when all this comes live, I want to see if slide vaulting is still a thing or not, because
right.
no one talked about it enough. But everyone talked about Oni 180s enough.
And
So to test my theory here, that's gonna be my
well, no, by the time this comes
final
out,
thing.
it'll be live. The comments can tell me. um, and I think this doesn't really segue well into this. We had a lot of good segues into this particular topic on it, um, and that is peripheries. So the other main arguments for this going away, including most techs in the video game, is that controller players can't do it. Now,
It's meaning my peanut. Yeah.
so
uh,
okay, this is okay. This particular part of the topic is, I'm gonna warn everyone listening now. I might come off a little condescending and demeaning, more so than I normally do, with some things I'm probably about to say here. Just a fair warning: if you play on console, it's perfectly fine. I have no vitriol towards you or think you're a lesser person. I don't know why anyone would, but that is your choice. That's my
mm,
main argument with it.
well, here's what people are getting wrong. It's not console players that can't do it. It's people that use controllers that can't do it.
Exactly. Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. So, like, okay, like right now, because
For the majority, for the majority of players, yes, it is their choice to use a controller. Um, but it's gonna be weird saying this because I don't know how true this is. People with disabilities, they have to use gyro controls. Like, if they have something wrong with their hands,
mm-hmm,
any inputs if you ever seen someone use like a mouthpiece to control what they do in a game,
mm-hmm.
or PlayStation actually came up with controllers specifically designed for people who have issues with their hands.
Yeah, so did Microsoft. They have
Um,
one for people, full amputees.
yeah, those use controllers as its main like firmware.
Mm-hmm.
When you plug it into a computer or a console, it'll detect it as a controller. So let's say that was plugged into Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight will detect that as a controller, and then you cannot do an Oni 180 because it's having controller inputs, which is the difference. That's the
But
only like nuance
yeah, but
to
wouldn't
your
what is
to
isn't
your argument.
yeah, but that's not a problem with Dead by Daylight. That's a problem with the software.
Yeah, but that's the only like nuance about your argument. But
Mm-hmm.
I do agree in it being their choice to play on controller.
So
But then there's going to be like little Timmy over here being like, my parents chose this for me, and I don't have enough money because I don't do enough chores around the house. Like, yeah, sure, that's a good argument,
well,
but then you also shouldn't complain about not being able to do something.
right. Well, because like the argument stems from a lot of things, and I'm going to bring up the two biggest things with this for me are fight sticks and counter and gyro controls, which you brought up a second ago. Because that second one, no one ever mentions for some reason. But fight sticks are probably the one I want to bring up the most because I think they're the most relevant. There are,
What did you say?
fight sticks, fight sticks.
Fight sticks. Oh,
Yes, fight sticks and gyro controls. Fight sticks. Ask 90% of anyone who is genuinely serious about playing a fighting game. They will tell you that a fight stick is literally required to play the game at any form of a higher level because there are some things you just can't do on a controller that you can do on a fight stick. It's just how it is. It's just like with Super Smash Brothers with like this one's a different one because this is a debate that's been going on for years.
That Tetris players using the old NES controllers to do the tapping thing.
Oh yeah, the tapping thing, and like the there's an exploit from Tetris that wasn't made intentional. The T turn.
Oh yeah.
Anyone who knows Tetris knows what I'm talking about. It's just a feature in Tetris 99. All right, I play Tetris 99 in my off time. Fuck you. It's fun. But like again, to me, that's like the biggest argument right there is like fight sticks, or like any FPS. And if the game allows it, because like, okay, let's say you're playing Rainbow Six Siege on console. It's not crossplay. So if you hook in a keyboard and mouse, yeah, now you're just cheating. But if it was crossplay and they allowed keyboard and mouse to be used on console, and you're complaining that you can't aim with a controller as well, I hate to say it, but tough. Like, it's like, what are the devs supposed to do? Like, the argument we make auto aim, but yeah, the whole thing with Rainbow Six Siege in particular is that auto aim isn't a thing. That's like it's like what separates the game from most games.
That's a big thing on Marvel Rivals as well. Like for most FPS games, console players and PC players have different ranked queues.
Right.
Because of controller inputs. And so they don't allow keyboard inputs on consoles.
Yeah, they don't in Marvel Rivals. I learned this the hard way.
Yeah, but they allow controller inputs on PC, but there's no aim assist.
Yeah, but but that's your choice to handicap yourself.
That's the outcome.
Yeah,
that is your choice to use a controller.
And
yeah,
the other one is gyro controls. I bring this one up a lot because again, people never talk about this game that much anymore. Splatoon is a game designed with gyro controls as its main form of aiming. Anyone who says otherwise, you've never played the game. That's all I'm going to say. I will not be debating on that one. Anyways, if you willingly turn them off or use a controller that doesn't have them for whatever reason, that is your choice to play a worse setup for the game. If the option,
like most consoles now as well, allow for keyboard and mouse inputs.
Yes, most of them do, except for again with multiplayer games, it just depends on the game. Some allow it, some don't.
I know Dead by Daylight does. I know that for sure.
Well, no,
I don't know about our console.
No. Dead by Daylight technically doesn't allow it yet.
But you can still plug in a controller and use it. A keyboard.
Yeah, you can still plug in a keyboard and use it on Dead by Daylight, but it's technically not allowed yet. It's one of those things that hasn't been okayed by the devs. You can still, I don't think they ever would do it, but like you can still be banned for doing it right now.
Yeah, it's like you could be banned for lots of things in this game, but they wouldn't because that's not their priority.
Right. It's not like Rainbow Six Siege where they ban people left and right for using keyboard and mouse on console. But again, it's like That's my main point with it. And like the argument could be, well, I can't afford that periphery. Well, like that line.
Amazon.com, baby, $10 for a mouse and keyboard.
Well, not even just that. It's like that line is also hard to straddle as well. Are headphones an advantage? Is a monitor an advantage with adjustable like settings on it? Is the fact that I'm in a couch or sitting on a couch an advantage? Is the fact that I have better lumbar support on my like office chair an advantage? Like
Or
like
if it's the fact, like that new keyboard that I think Razer came out with,
mm-hmm.
and people were very controversial about for racing games.
Mm-hmm.
When you press down, or for like tactical shooters, when you press down a key, you can queue up another key.
Oh, it's cool. I like that.
And it also has pressure sense keys.
Mm-hmm.
So in racing games, you can use it like a steering wheel. But lots of tac shooter devs are like, we shouldn't allow this because they can make tap strafing really fucking easy.
Well, because
Like it's inhuman key presses. It's like using a macro.
Yeah, and that's another discussion. Is like macros. Macros are a huge debate. Still, always have been, right?
They're still allowed in this game. Well, I wouldn't say allowed, but like they're not. No one has been banned.
Yeah,
Like, I know a Hag player. Like one of my friends. Like one of my friends is a Hag player, and I know that they use a macro for their scroll wheel. So it's constantly rolling when they're not doing stuff. But
yeah.
what's the difference in that and then someone just using a scroll wheel with their finger?
Exactly. Well, and I brought
And
up
what's the difference between like? And again, you brought up this. I think it was before the podcast. Is scroll wheel technically like what is it called? An advantage?
and yeah, an
Because
advantage.
you don't have
Yeah.
one on your controller.
Yeah, well, like Doom Eternal, and this doesn't even come from like just the console player. Even on like the PC side of things, right? I have an MMO mouse, so I have a mouse with 12 buttons on my thumb.
Yeah, you're exploiting, buddy.
Well, and this isn't talking necessarily about Dead by Daylight. This is just gaming in general, I suppose. But it's like, is the fact that I have access to 12 different buttons on my thumb press an
Is the fact
advantage?
I can angle my keyboard on my desk because I have enough room and exploit. Is that a game advantage?
It's like, and again, like I get it. Everyone has different situations. Everyone has all these things that like, cause all this. But it's like, where do we draw the line? At what point is it your choice and ability versus just like I think the ones that make me mad about this are the ones who are completely capable of getting a keyboard and mouse and keep saying that they don't want to. Okay, well, if you're able to buy a car and you still walk to work and you just don't want to buy a car, you can't complain that you have to walk to work.
Yeah.
Like, that's your choice at that point. And, like, again, that's... Because with like, the 180s and stuff, because it's like Huntress is easier on mouse and keyboard. Virtually almost every killer is easier on mouse and keyboard. I can't name one who wouldn't be. Maybe... No, I really can't think of one.
Only advantage for using a controller is on Survivor because you can hug loops tighter. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I guess maybe some Chucky flicks would be easier because you can hug some loops. I don't know. I've never played Chucky on controller, so I don't. But
Trapper.
Trapper.
You can hug loops tighter, and so you have better aim assist. Damn.
but again, like it brings into question. It's like, okay, well, once they do bring once keyboard and mouse is official on console, like for use officially, like at that point, things like this, I feel, can't be taken out just because only keyboard and mouse can do it.
Yeah, like how are devs, not even for Dead by Daylight, but like how are devs supposed to look at this and take that into consideration? Like if like all the console players complain about like, oh, keyboard and mouse players have their whole arm while we only have a thumb. Of course we have auto aim.
Mm-hmm.
Because you guys are better than us and you can use more muscles. I'm like, then get a mouse. And they're like, no, I don't want to. I'm like, okay, so what is your point here?
I mean, the other argument is I can't. Like, that's the other argument. that one, like, I have some more sympathy for, but the problem with that one is, like, again,
If you can't, then you shouldn't be complaining then.
yeah, well, because again, it's like with the headphone argument, and the headphone one's a little bit more touchy, not touchy, but a little bit harder to have because that also brings into the idea of like hard of hearing and deaf people and things like that. My point though with that isn't necessarily like if a game like Dead by Daylight that isn't really designed for those of heart that are hard of hearing and audio is like massive, or a game like Rainbow Six Siege, I think it's a very good example, right? That's a game like designed around sound. Like it's like a very integral mechanic to the
Like
game.
if someone's hard of hearing, should we give them wall hacks just because?
Well, I'm not even saying hard of hearing. I'm saying headphones at this point.
Oh yeah, just
Like
headphone. Yeah,
yeah, like
most controllers now have headphone support, and if they don't, most TVs have headphone support. If your TV and your controller don't have headphone support, then you can't complain about not being able to use a headset and it being unfair, because at that point, it's just a nothing burger argument. You can't do anything to fix it. I would understand being like, hey, your game only has like this and this in it for like headsets. Can you address this issue? Blah, blah, blah. Like if there's like an actual valid argument there, but then yeah, but if it's just peripherals, you can't afford it, or it's like, I just don't want to get one. And it's like, what's the point in having this discussion?
yeah. Well, it's just like I'm trying to think of like another good example with like monitors. Like, what if you have a monitor that has reshade built in?
Like mine, I have a monitor that has colorblind filters on it.
Exactly. So
I
like,
don't have to use the ones in games.
so like there's a bunch of people who will argue that filters are exploiting or cheating or whatever the fuck. But like, and that's not the argument I'm making here. My argument is, okay, well, from from like a dev perspective, how do you even begin to like account for people who have monitors that do it outside of the game? It's not even a third party system doing it. It's literally the monitor itself doing it.
Yeah, and plus, even with that argument, most TVs have a settings menu where you can increase the brightness of the game, or increase one color compared to the others.
It's like the FPS argument in like mini games too. It's like, well, I can only get like 200. I'm going to say a ridiculous number real quick. I can only get like 370 FPS if I play on low settings. Why can't I get that on high? Because you have a bad computer. Like it sucks, but like
I have a friend who plays Marvel. So like Marvel Rivals is a really heavily resourced game, right? Takes a lot. He's on low settings and still only gets like 90 frames, and he comes to being like, "Oh, if I had better frames, I would be like top rank easily." I'm like, okay, good for you. Yeah, that's like,
yeah, it's
like every time we queue together, and it's just like, oh, my frames are bad. But then like he goes to like this college. He's on like lots of like esports teams at his college, and he plays on the computers there, and he does like exceptionally better. So it's like his point's proven, but you can't really do anything about it. Like a dev can't really look at it and be like, oh, that sucks for you. Here, let me increase your rank for you.
yeah. Well, yeah, and I mean, even with the FPS argument, it's like, I mean, people ask me all the time. It's like, why do I play on 60 FPS? People ask me this all the time. You know why I play on 60 FPS?
Why?
My monitor's 60 hertz.
Yeah. So there's no point.
There's no point in me making it anything higher. All it does is just make my computer run slower. That's all it does.
And yeah, and plus, if you're on 60 hertz, you don't see as much compared to other people who have a higher refresh rate monitor.
Yeah, and I don't complain about it. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, if I had higher frames, I would have like been better. Yeah, who cares if I had higher frames? There's nothing I can do. I could buy a better monitor. That's what I can do.
I know people out there that are like, like I'm just gonna use the monitor argument. Like, oh, my monitor only has 60 hertz. If I had better ones, I would be able to compete with all these people with like 240 hertz. I'm like, your skill won't change the fact you have this shit hardware.
Yeah, I mean, there's a line with it, obviously. But you
like,
know,
obviously, if you're running at like 45 hertz and like a tactical FPS, like yeah, maybe there's some truth to that.
Fun story,
like,
fun story about that.
But like,
actually.
if you're saying this and you're like in silver, like no, that's not gonna make you magically go to like a higher rank.
So when I started playing League of Legends, I had like a crappy laptop. And for those who don't know, League of Legends can run on a toaster if you try hard enough. At least it used to be able to. I don't know about now. But it used to be able to run on pretty much anything. As long as it had a motherboard and some CPU, you were good. I didn't realize, because this was before I was like I don't, still not a tech head, but back then I didn't realize that I was playing on like 25 FPS. I was playing on like 25 FPS for like 4 years, by the way. For like 4 fucking years, I was playing on like 25 FPS. I finally got a proper PC with a proper monitor. When I started playing the game, and mind you, this is just 60 FPS. I was like hard stuck silver for like 2 years. I instantly shot up like I think to diamond like in like 3 days. Because I was playing handicap, but like I didn't blame the game for that. That's not the game's fault. It's just, and again, it's just like with like, let's say you play Dead by Daylight on Nintendo Switch. Like, have you seen how this game runs on Switch?
Yeah. And then doesn't Nintendo Switch only have its own servers? Like it doesn't.
No, it goes out.
Like,
you can play on other servers. I don't know if it has crossplay turned off by default. It might.
Because I've yet to see like a Switch player. Like I'm being so genuine.
What do you mean?
Like I've yet to play with someone who's on a Switch. Like even like when I joined the public Dead by Daylight Discord for like Swift or KYF, I've yet to run into someone in my like however many years of playing this game that is playing this game on Switch.
How would you know?
Just ask them.
Oh, just ask them. Okay, fair enough.
Like if I'm in a Swift with like someone who is on Xbox and PlayStation, and I'm on PC, and we all see a globe, they could type in chat. They're like, "Oh, that's Epic Games, right?"
Or Windows Store.
Or like, oh, those people.
That was me. That was me. That was me. God damn it. I'm on Steam now, by the way. I upgraded since we last talked.
Awesome. But like, yeah, it's just like one of those things.
Well, because again, it's like, so, or like this even brings the argument of like next gen consoles versus last gen. Like, if you're complaining that the game runs like shit on PS4, but it runs really good on PS5, I hate to say this, but that's a you problem.
Yeah.
Like, because it
going on like a PS5, but it's like however many years old, being like, "Oh, this game runs like shit. I'm losing because of my FPS." I'm like, the game can't do anything about that, man. Devs won't be able to help you with this one.
Because it's like, okay, well, they could like update the game so it's better on the older consoles. Yeah, at the risk of making the newer ones bad too. And then it's like, okay, well, like, this did not go where I thought it was going to go. But
no, I understand.
Yeah,
I understand what you're trying to get at. Is that like people who have like different software or different like
hardware, yeah.
Yeah. Well, software as well, like Reshade or like NVIDIA filters. Like, if you have an AMD card, you cannot run NVIDIA filter Reshade. Like, shit like that. And it's just like the devs can't really take that into consideration as much as other things. And it's like a topic that's brought up so much. I'm like, I'm on console and I can't own a 180, and I think it should be patched out because it's unfair because I can't do it. I'm like,
well, now they're
making then.
Yeah, but then and that brings us to the debate of like, once mouse and keyboard is actually available for everybody, officially, once it's like available for everybody, that argument kind of goes away. But then the new argument of, well, I can't get a mouse and keyboard, or I don't want to use it, gets brought up, and
it's like, yeah, that's a you issue. Stop complaining.
Yeah, again, going back to the fight stick thing, it's like, if your argument is, well, these controls are too hard on controller for like a fighting game, then get a fight stick.
Yeah, like I was playing Brawlhalla, and I played on keyboard. Like lots of professionals play on keyboard, and they learned that. But then all my friends are like, "Oh, just play on controller. You'll be able to do so much more stuff. You'll be like blah blah blah." I'm like, "No, I want to play on keyboard because I'm not going to get into this game very much."
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't be able to do something. I'm like, oh shit, that sucks.
Ah, damn.
Anyways,
Fiddlesticks. All right. But yeah, like that's the thing with it. It's like if you're doing it, like if you know the option exists, if you know the option to like use mouse and keyboard exists and you're allowed to use it, and your only rebuttal is I don't want to, I hate to say it, that is a you problem. If your rebuttal is I can't for whatever reason that is, that's different, right? But also an exception to the rule. And something that can't really be taken into account.
yeah.
Because again, it's like Rainbow Six, like Overwatch had this problem too. Like they did balancing, they don't really do it. I don't even pay attention to their balancing. I don't know if they do it much anymore. But like I remember when Overwatch first came out, there was a balancing patch that made Torbjorn his turrets lock on slower, but only on console. And the reason they did that was because Torbjorn was like really good on console. Because they have because console players have worse aim. Let me rephrase that. Console players can't aim as let me rephrase. Y'all know what the fuck I mean.
Yeah.
They're precise. They don't have as precise of an aim. There you go.
Yeah, because they don't have their whole arm, all their muscle groups, and all 5 fingers to use.
Are you an arm mouse or wrist mouser? Arm.
I use wrist mostly, but I use my arm for some things. Like Oniflex, for example, I'm not.
I'm wrist all the way. I can't use my arm. I've tried so many times. I've tried so many times. It just feels unnatural. I don't know.
The reason you use your arm is to make lines straight. That's literally.
You can't do that with your wrist?
Well, your wrist, it bends in like an angle. Unless you have like a mouse that's actually smart.
I'm triple jointed.
See, like, mine bad for not being triple jointed.
Well, no, that's right. No, I'm legitimate. Like, I'm trying to like understand why I can do it, because you're saying you can't, and I'm like, I can.
No,
though.
you can't. Like, it will not be a straight line compared to if you use your whole arm.
Oh, okay.
Like, guaranteed. It's like if you're playing Osu, someone's using a pen and someone's using a mouse. The person with the pen is gonna be like so much better.
Yeah. Well, and
it's way more accurate.
Yeah, and like I mean, I think this even brings up like another debate of like the whole like situational problems. It's like, well, I probably don't use my arm because I'm used to having like almost no desk space. So like when I was learning how to play on mouse and keyboard, I couldn't use my arm. There was a room for it. So I just
that's an issue I suffer with, is that I press shift with my thumb, right? I'm weird like that. And then I press tab with my pinky finger. And then I press spacebar with my index finger.
Hold up, go back. You press shift with your thumb?
Yeah.
How?
So put your hand in a fist.
Uh-huh.
Tuck your thumb underneath your 4 fingers.
Uh-huh.
And then place your hand on your keyboard like you would. For WASD.
My thumb is under my alt key.
You're stretch it a little bit further to shift. You'll get it. And then my pinky usually rests on the side of caps lock and tab in that little.
So you play like a crab hand.
Yeah, and then like if I need a b-hop in a game, I buy jump to scroll wheel so I can still strafe to the right.
I also have I have a mini one-handed keyboard too, so that should probably.
I buy 100% always. But like for example, that's more of a me issue. Like I know tons of people that press shift with their thumb. Like that's like a
it's so weird. I've never seen.
Okay, man. Okay, man.
I didn't listen. Wait till
what are you gonna do? Call me slurs next? Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to hear how I hold a controller? Because I get called weird for this all the time.
Are you do the crab hand thing?
No.
I use my index fingers to aim with controllers.
No, I don't do the crab hand thing. I use all 4 of my fingers for the triggers.
People don't do that?
No.
What?
Yeah. Oh my God, someone else who does it. Yeah. Yeah. No, 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 no.
No, because then you can press multiple at once. Like,
Yes.
why wouldn't you do that?
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
yeah, like hello.
Yeah. No, 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 no. I remember, like,
It's
looking into
like
this.
tucking your middle finger in when you're holding a mouse and only using your index finger for left and right click.
Like,
Like, hello?
I remember looking into this, and I was like, hold up a second, because seriously, look up an image right now on Google of holding a controller, and I can promise you they're only using their index fingers.
Yeah, lots of people, lots of people have the buttons behind the controller now, though. If they're like actually serious.
Yeah. Well, no, I know. I'm just saying, like, if you ask most people,
Yeah, they'll
like,
just use two fingers.
they'll just use two fingers. They'll just use their index fingers. But I use my middle fingers for the bottom triggers and my index for the top. And I remember I used to tell people this, or like I would like go over to friends' houses and they would look at me weird. Like,
Yeah, every time I tell people I press shut to my thumb, like they're like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And I can moonwalk across the map fine while doing that. Like, I'm sure I'm at a disadvantage for playing FPS games because I have to have sprint on toggle, like it's always on. Like, sure, that's an issue, but I found my ways around it. I'm not gonna be like, oh, because I do this way, I'm not gonna complain.
I mean, the mouse and keyboard debate doesn't even get into the fact of key mapping either.
Also true.
Yeah, because like
the size of your keyboard as well.
yeah, because like okay, key mapping. Like the game has key mapping in it, so like this isn't really a debate on that. But let's say the game didn't have key mapping. If you're on mouse and keyboard, you could just change your keys. On most modern hardware, not all, but most modern hardware, you can just change your key. Again, I use a completely customizable one-handed keyboard. Like the keys aren't set in stone. I can change them to anything I want. You know what button I use for grenades in any FPS game? You're never gonna guess it. 7. Let me explain.
Do you do IJKL?
No. I have an MMO mouse.
Oh.
So all my number buttons are on my thumb. So I use 7. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is because that means that unlike most people who use Q or G for grenade, I can still fully use WASD when I'm holding my grenades.
Yeah.
Is that an advantage?
Yeah, that's true. Because like mouse and keyboard have more button inputs that they can change it to.
Yeah. Again, like you're bringing up controller and on console. What about like those pro controllers with like 3 extra buttons? Because those exist. Like doesn't Microsoft have like that one pro controller where it's like there's 2 buttons on the bottom?
Extra buttons.
Yeah. It's like, well, what if you could only do 180 flicks on those? Well, let's say in theory. Like, would that be a problem?
Yeah, it's like people like can't take that into consideration. Like, sorry, no, not people. Devs can't really take those into consideration. It's like, wow. Yeah, I haven't thought about that either. Like, just more buttons on the controller while some people don't have any.
Yeah. Well, even like racing games, like if you're playing a racing game, I brought the Fight Sticks and gyro controls, but like racing game steering wheels are like a whole other topic on this too. If you're playing a racing game without a steering wheel, like I mean, this one's more debatable on what's better or not, but like, I mean, if you want the best experience, I would assume you use a steering wheel. But then
and then like have a whole setup with pedals and stuff as well.
Yeah, it's some people got like a boombox beside them, or it's 2025. They got their phone with Spotify beside them. Sorry, my age showed. Yeah, even like microphones in like any game with any game with like communication, like most consoles come with a mic for free. Most computers don't. Most laptops do. Most computers don't, though. So, like, if you're in a game with, like, that not requires, but would be better with mics, aren't you kind of at a disadvantage because you didn't buy a mic?
Yeah, true.
Like again,
Dude, there's like so many things. Holy shit.
that's the thing. Like, and how do you account for all this? Where is the line drawn? Like, at what point is it your fault, and at what point is it the game's fault? And at what point do we? And I think the other thing with this that I bring up a lot is that at the end of the day, and I know some people are going to hate this, gaming is kind of a luxury hobby. And what I mean by that is that, like, I mean, can you game for cheap? Yes, 100%. But like, if someone
iOS 10.
if someone has more money than you and is able to get better equipment than you, like, they're kind of gonna be better most of the time. Like, if I'm racing someone in my like 2005 Kia sedan, like, versus their like 1986 Chevy Cobra, like, yeah, no shit, they're gonna beat me in a race. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like, and bringing up the car analogy, that's another good thing. What if your car doesn't have an e-brake and the other person's does?
Oh my god. It's just like, dude, there's like so many things to list. Like, just like literally anything and everything can be excuse for players. But like, it's like, dude, it's just holy shit.
And yeah, circling this back around, like, to the like what the devs should be doing here, but it's like, once the keyboard thing becomes commodified for consoles as well, at that point, the devs have to start balancing the game around the assumption everyone can use a keyboard. That doesn't mean controllers shouldn't be taken into account at all, but you can't start removing stuff just because.
Yeah, and then
controller
it's for them to balance as well, because first they have to take in consideration what you play on, skill, text, if they take that into consideration, add-ons, player usage of said killer, and how hard said killer is as well, and their performance.
Yeah.
Like,
because what's Oni's pick rate? Do you know offhand?
Oni pick rate Dead by Daylight. Night's Light. Oh. I'm so glad I'm smart and intelligent.
Yeah, and
play rate 2.33% according to Nightlight.
So about average. Okay.
Yeah.
I still need to do that math on what the actual, like,
57% kill rate.
I need to do the math on, like, what the actual average, like, what the perfect play rate would be considering how many killers there are. Because I think it's like 2.5% if I remember correctly.
What's the highest kill rate?
The highest kill rate? It's 70% on Freddy?
Is it actually?
I don't know. You were on the website. I thought you were asking.
It's 60% on Freddy.
Okay.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wait. Freddy's above Spirit. Hello?
Yes. You didn't know this?
No.
Yeah, Freddy, he's been up there since his rework.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, look at Xenomorphs, by the way. Keep scrolling. That's all. Yeah. Yeah. Xena's right there.
Wait,
check his.
Twins is at 59%.
Mm-hmm.
What is? Holy shit, dude! Twins has second highest.
Second highest what, kill rate?
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. They're usually up there. Did you know any of this?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, Twins is almost always at the top. Usually number one is Blight. It just fluctuates every now and again. The bottom is usually Legion and Ghostface. Right now it's Chucky and Xenomorph, I believe. Yeah, it's it's opening your eyes a bit, isn't it?
Wow, people suck at this game.
I can't believe you didn't know this.
No.
Yeah, there was like a 2-week span where Sadako had an 80% kill rate.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Where is where's that one killer that isn't a killer anymore? Skull Merchant.
Skull Merchant. She's like, if I remember right, she's at like 63.
Is that 53 now?
53 now. Okay, damn. Well, I could be wrong on what I remember. She's not as low as you would think, though. Her play rate's abysmal.
I like how Wesker has like the golden ratio between 0K and 4K. He has a 50% kill rate as well. Like,
yeah, the kill distribution is the one stat that no one looks at that I think actually matters more than anything else. Because if you go and look at like Chucky's, for example, his kill distribution is either I think it's like
he either gets 0 kills or all kills.
Yeah, so
Pig averages 30% of their matches as 4Ks. What the fuck?
Yeah. A reminder: it's self-reported,
Holy
just so you know. Yeah, so that does take into account. I'm opening.
Why are people so bad at this game?
What do you mean? Well, the other thing about Nightlight with it being self-reported too is also like this isn't like just like no like any random person uploading it. More than likely, it's people who do play the game quite a bit.
Yeah, if they know about Nightlight, they should play the game enough.
Yeah.
Oh my, this is concerning. These people vote in surveys, by the way.
Yeah, of course they do.
Oh no.
Well, I mean, it's that's why I've been having like arguments with the Chucky community for weeks, because his kill rate's so low. But I think he's fine. I think people just suck at Chucky. it's the same thing with Freddy. Like the argument I would bring up with that was Xenomorph, because I didn't see anyone saying Xenomorph is bad, and she has the second lowest kill rate in the game.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, and once again, that's the problem with the Nightlight stats, is that, like, what do you glean from that? Would you say Xenomorph is bad?
No, I feel like if you have a brain on Xenomorph, you can usually get at least a 3K.
Yeah. So why does she have the lowest pick rate, or one of the lowest kill rates? What do we do with that information?
Yeah, I would love to know behaviors, like
stats, official,
page.
yeah.
Because that would actually get us like insane. Dude, remember when we found out about how to see your MMR and they fucking removed it?
Yeah.
Dude, like, holy shits.
It's a trade secret.
It's nuts. It really isn't.
As someone who works at a company that has made that argument for how shelves are stacked, it's a trade secret.
Actually?
Yes.
Is that their argument towards that? Like, that's why we're not allowed to see it anymore?
Yeah, it's a trade secret. It's not personal information.
Wow. Okay.
because if we can,
I say the devs aren't transparent with us.
Because if we can see it, that means that we can figure out how it actually works, like to the T, with enough information. Like if enough people do it, we can figure out exactly how it works. And if we can figure out exactly how it works, then that tells other companies how their MMR works, which means that they could use the same feature or avoid using the same feature.
As they should. Like, this game's shit at their matchmaking. Like, I would not want another game to use this matchmaking.
This might be, I don't know. I don't know a single game with good matchmaking. I don't. Legitimately, I don't. League's matchmaking sucks. Rainbow Six Siege's matchmaking sucks. Marvel Rivals matchmaking sucks. Dead by Daylight's matchmaking sucks.
Rivals is kind of inflated right now. On the beta, it was actually pretty good.
No, not the ranked matchmaking. I'm talking about normal matches.
Oh shit! I thought you were talking about like ranked and stuff.
Yeah, ranked is a different story. Dead by Daylight doesn't have a ranked mode, so I can't compare that to the other games. I'm talking about like,
that's so true, yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about like, I don't know a game with a quote quick match option where the matchmaking is actually good.
Funny little browser game called Crunker.io.
What's that?
I can actually vouch for that.
What's that snake game? Like, I mean, it's Snake, but like
Slither.io?
Yeah. That was a good matchmaking. But yeah, like legitimately, that's why they
that is true, but You gotta admit though, like behavior's way of, or not behavior, just like Dead by Daylight's way of matchmaking is abysmal. Like you could even say my gameplay right now, like most of my games have been like 4K4,
Hmm.
and the hacker I versed said I'm at very high MMR.
Well, I mean, that's because do you want to wait in queue for like 10 minutes? You
If
can't.
I don't get a queue in like 5 minutes, then yes, place me with whoever. But that's just my preference, right?
Hmm.
Like
But that,
I
but
would rather get matches where I have like a 5 minute queue, but it's pretty balanced
I
in
heard
terms of skill.
when 2v8 was going on, I remember I asked people what the ideal queue time would be. Do you know how many people said if they're waiting in queue for more than a minute, they turned the game off?
What?
Yes. And again, much like with a lot of things, behavior has to take these people into account too.
Yeah, because that's most of their player base.
Yeah. So again, there's no like that, and I made this argument in League all the time too. And this was in ranked. I would make this argument because people in like the highest, I forget the what the rank, the highest rank in League was. People will make the same argument. It's like, well, I shouldn't be waiting in queue for 45 minutes, bro. You're at the highest rank. There's like 10 of you. Like, what do you want them to do? It's like, well, I shouldn't be punished for being good. You're not being punished for being good. You're
It's
just,
just not enough players are good.
yeah, it's like if there's only 4 heavyweights in the entire world, you're probably only gonna get to fight like 2 times a year. Like, it's just, you can't just make another heavyweight appear. Like,
Yeah.
the argument for Dead by Daylight is that it's quick match, but like, okay, so do we want good close matchmaking or do we want fast matchmaking? Because I don't know what people want because I hear both arguments.
It's like what I see mostly is that good players want like more even matchmaking, while like casual or bad players want quicker.
Yeah, and how do you appease both? The trick is
At a competitive queue.
you don't. Competitive. I mean, I've had my idea on how a ranked mode could work.
Literally just implement the grade system but into a separate queue.
No, I meant like how the gameplay would work.
Oh, like banning some perks and all that?
So my idea is take the system from 2v8 and boom.
Okay.
Because this does a few things. One, it makes it so, and my idea for killer would be like each killer would have like 3 archetypes they can pick from. So like for Blight, you could have one that's like fast dash Blight, or one that's like adrenaline vial Blight, and one that's like iridescent Blight or something. Let's just say in theory. And what this would let them do is, if you make it like the 2v8 system, you could have a whole separate balance for the competitive mode versus the base mode. You wouldn't have to worry about perks.
Which is what a lot of games do.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to worry about perks because they wouldn't be an option. It would be part of those archetypes.
Yeah, that would be smart.
Like,
Or like text, for example. Like I know some games that literally ban some like exploits in their game from being used in ranked, but they allow them in like swift play and stuff.
yeah, which is another problem with this whole debate too. Is like Dead by Daylight's not competitive. It's not supposed to be, at least as far as we can tell.
It's not supposed to be, but there's MMR and what's it called?
I
Meta talks all the time.
I don't think MMR necessarily classifies it, but yeah,
No, I mean, I'm not in like, oh, there's MMR in this game equals competitive. I mean like the player base.
Mhm.
Be like, I'm at top MMR, so I'm better than you.
You know, I keep saying this about MMR. I know this is we're way off topic and I don't care, but I know like MMR is like a weird like debate on that end of it, but it's like, to me, the thing I keep hearing people constantly say about the MMR system is that it encourages people to play sweaty. And my argument to that is, why? How? How does MMR make people play sweaty? How?
It's the grades that make people play sweaty, and it's also the mindset that if you lose, you're losing stuff in the game.
Yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with MMR. It's invisible. You can't see it. Like,
Also, it could just be because they're not as experienced players, so they need that
Mhm.
like little boost. and the EGO.
I mean, because it's always like because again, it's like everyone like I hear this argument all the time. It's like MMR ruined the game because now everyone plays sweaty. It's like, how did MMR cause that?
No, that's the player base causing that because MMR is in the game.
That's what I'm
'Cause they're
saying.
like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm at top MMR, so I am better than you, and I run these perks. And then everyone's like, oh, I want to be like this guy because he's cool and good at the game. So I will also run these perks.
Did you just try to chuck spot his blight? By the way, I saw that in the background. Don't think I
Don't
did.
worry about that. Okay? I do that often, and it works all the time.
Oh, I know. I know. No, no. Funny enough, I do it more on Nemesis than I do on Chucky.
It's awesome. But like,
But like going back to it, but like because that's even another thing is like the MMR thing is like. So like, the only other argument I can hear is what I meant by that is so it's like, okay, well, console players can't do the 180s on Oni. Okay, why is that a bad thing? What does it matter if they can't do it on controller?
yeah, there's literally no benefit. You're not gaining anything from it. Plus, most people who try to 180 know how to do it, so they're already good on Oni. They don't need to, and it'll be somewhat usually quicker for them just to get the down by back revving the survivor.
Well, and I don't even mean it in that sense. I'm just saying like, what does you like not being able to 180? Like, what is really the problem with you not being able to do it? Like on like
I
like
would,
like
I would actually love to have that answer, like when I ask other players.
is it like, well, I can't do it. That's my problem. Okay, get a mouse and keyboard. You could do it. Well, I don't want to do that. But we've tried nothing and nothing's changed. It's what this argument like. We've done absolutely nothing and everything's the same. Like, and there's not me trying to shit on console players again. Like it's not. But it's again, if you are choosing to play on a periphery that doesn't allow you to do something, you can't complain. You can't do the thing.
Yeah.
Now, I do agree the devs should find a way to make it possible for consoles. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I do need to make that very clear here. Like, if they could find a way to make the 180s possible on consoles, but that also leads back into like my original point from like 2.5 hours ago of just commodify it and make it a feature. But the problem with that is that it's never as easy as I think we like to make it out to be. Because there's a lot of factors that affect how it's possible, why it's possible with a certain input and not another. Because like if you like increase controller sensitivity or like what is it typically DPI on a controller?
It's no, it has to be. There's no DPI on controller.
Right.
That's the reason why Oni can flick on
Yeah.
yes, but not on.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So like you can't adjust that like in an easy way that wouldn't probably break the character somewhere else. So like that's why I understand why they haven't made it for console. And it's probably not a priority to do it either. You know?
Yeah, then someone in chat just brought up a good point. Like this game is against console players because lots of the killers depend on having a certain amount of FPS.
Mm-hmm.
Which was the whole thing beforehand, before they added an FPS change in the settings menu, is that consoles were stuck at 60.
Wait, but that doesn't matter if they don't have a... Okay, I was going to say, that doesn't matter if you don't have a monitor or a TV that can go over 60, though.
It's still a matter to the people who complain.
Fair.
Which is why they changed it.
Okay. Remember when like 4K TVs came out?
But that does matter in this game. You know why though? Because this game is frame dependent.
Oh, whoa, yeah. I just thought you meant like general gameplay though.
No. Like Wesker again, for example, he relies on a lower frame rate to have a faster hug tech, but it's also harder. So a console player will have a harder time hug teching than a PC player if that FPS like change to uncap the FPS was never changed. There's also there's something on Survivor that used to be able to happen if you have a higher FPS, but I forget what it was. But like it's just stuff like that. Like the devs have to implement it in order for people to stop complaining about it. For that console versus not even console, just controller versus keyboard and mouse.
I mean, there's even one factor we haven't talked a single time about.
Eh?
Ping.
Oh yeah, also true. Like having a better internet provider is like such a big deal in this game, and even VPNing can give you an advantage because you're hitting shit you shouldn't be able to.
Mm-hmm.
Like in most of my games, when like I see survivors, I'm not necessarily checking their profiles to see who has the list and all. I'm checking who has the highest ping because they're going to be easier to down.
And again, it's like, how do the devs even fix that? How do you, like, because a lot of that, again, that like most of those problems are like integral,
They actually tried fixing. They added more servers to this game.
but that doesn't fix the problem.
It helps with some people. Like there's not many good central servers out there. I think the central server is down to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if you're like from like Minnesota or something,
Mm-hmm.
and you're central, it's gonna put you on an East Coast server, but that's also shit for you. Because I think the East Coast server is in like New York or Quebec or something like that.
It's Quebec. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's my point though, is like that doesn't fix the problem of the game being ping dependent. It just makes it so more people have a better chance of having better ping.
Yeah. But that does help with the issue though. Like they have
Well-
tried, and that's at least a good thing.
Right? No, I'm not saying it's not. What I'm saying is it doesn't fix. You're band-aiding a leg wound. The wound's still there, and you're probably not going to bleed
Yeah.
out. But like, you didn't fix it. Like that's the point. Same with the FPS thing. It's like, how do you even fix that? It just seems like an integral part of the game.
Yeah, it's like you can't really fix this. It's like
So, like, again, it's like, well, if you're playing on, like, but the way you're describing it is it's not the actual, it's the FPS itself, not what you're actually seeing that's causing it, right? That it's based on. So, like,
yeah, it's not what you're saying. Like,
yeah. So even if my with my monitor being 60 hertz, playing on 120 FPS would help with some killers.
yes.
Okay.
Or another thing is technically if you have a better computer, it's a pay to lose because on some killers it's better to have a worse FPS.
Well, yeah, it's like Valorant had a weird thing with Viper walls. I don't know if this is still a thing. When I played it was though, it was better to play on low settings versus Viper. Because
Yeah, because of the smoke
yeah,
stuff.
the smoke trails at the top of the wall would still be there if you played on anything above low settings. So it actually made it harder to see. Which is just always a weird thing to think about. I mean, even like I don't know, is it like monitor size FOVs you're able to get? Like,
Yeah, that was a thing beforehand because that's why people ran Shadowborn 1, like because it looked much better. But like if you play on a lower FOV, the auto aim would mess up more, and it's a lot harder on other killers.
mhm.
Like on Huntress, you would usually have a lower FOV. But on Spirit, for example, this is still prevalent. Is that killer is still designed to have a lower FOV built in because of the sound. If you have a higher FOV, everything sounds like it's behind you.
Yeah, and I
'Cause
mean,
the camera's placed different from like where the audio is coming in, kind of thing.
I'd also be curious because I have some pretty. I mean, they're studio headphones, but they're still pretty basic headphones. I'd be curious how like this game sounds with like surround sound headphones.
I've used those before.
Uh huh.
It helps like minorly.
But it does help,
Yeah.
so it's an advantage.
Yeah.
But like again, like that's the thing. Where do we draw the line? Like,
And though I can only put on surround sound though if I have the company's software,
mhm.
or I can only add an EQ to it if I have a software.
I mean, my headphones broke a couple weeks ago, so I had to buy new ones, and I was playing the game muted all night. Like what? Like because I physically didn't have working headphones, you know. But it's like, was I like complaining that everyone else had an advantage? No, I was complaining I couldn't hear shit, but like, I'm not going to blame the devs for that or demand they, like, again, like that one's more complicated because that also leads into like deaf people and hard of hearing people and accessibility problems. But like accessibility problems isn't like a keyboard issue. Like, I mean, I guess it kind of is, like you mentioned earlier. Like, there's layers to this, I feel.
Yeah, it's like we're peeling back an onion here.
Parfaits are better. Everybody loves parfaits. But again, like that's the thing. It's like with the Oni 180s. It's like, okay, if it's only possible on keyboard and mouse, and let's say someone is physically incapable of using a keyboard and mouse, how far do we go with making it so the thing is possible for them, or do we just accept that they won't be able to do it?
Yeah, and not even just with Oni 180, with a tons of other stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how are they supposed to fix it, or are they just gonna remove it fully?
Yeah, because I mean that's always the thing. Because the way some of and the thing is, I don't think it's people like that who like physically can't use a mouse and keyboard having this argument for a lot of reasons. The more I think about it, obviously they can't because they're not whatever. You know, my point is like what it sounds like from a lot of like the people having the argument is that like, well, if I can't do it, no one should be able to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bad argument to have.
And I take that and expand on it more. If this isn't allowed, everything's not allowed.
Yeah, and again, where do we draw the line?
No one can complain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it's like I same with like the skinny Burts and even like this wasn't even really an exploit. It's just how the hitbox works. It's like Huntress hitboxes. Like, it's just knowing how they work, making you a better Huntress player. Is that like, you know what I mean?
Theoretically, yeah. Like technically, yeah.
Like I'm not even saying it's an exploit, but like, should they fix it so like more people can use the hatchets better?
Make them skinnier.
Make them skinnier.
Like, there's ongoing bugs on Huntress where the hatchets are just disappearing. By the way, like, you used to be able to throw hatchets through like the shack window that's boarded. If you try it now, the hatchet literally just dematerializes.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember when they? I actually saw a couple clips. I think M showed one. Do you remember when they tried to fix Huntress hatchet hitboxes? By the way, were you around for that? I think it was about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I was probably around.
Yeah, it was literally it was like 2 weeks, and then they immediately hotfixed it back because I would assume their stats showed them that no one could land them. Because that's another thing. People talk about like how Dead by Daylight doesn't account for console that much because they only care about the PC. Really, do you guys understand how forgiving the hitboxes in Dead by Daylight are, regardless of ping or FPS? Like, honestly, like some of the hitboxes in this game are ridiculous, but they have to be because of console. Do you know how hard an accurate Huntress hatchet would be to land on a console? Like, I can only imagine how hard Deathslinger is on console.
Yeah, and then to fix that, they add aim locking or like aim assist.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the PC players are being like, "What the fuck? This makes the killer so easy on console now."
Yeah.
And then the roles are reversed.
Yeah. Cough, Apex. Jesus Christ. I cannot believe that argument is still going on. Yeah, again, it's I think the point that we've been trying to make for the past almost 3 hours is there is no easy one-size solution to this. But I don't think removing it completely is the solution. On top of like the 180s on Oni are one thing. But where do we draw the line? Where do we keep going with this? What is considered an exploit in the tech? What is an intended gameplay mechanic? Will the devs ever tell us? We'll find out. Them Duke boys are... I had a joke and I messed it up. Okay, never mind. But like again, like, I think that's what why we're talking in circles at this point. Like, how do we take into account controller versus console? Or I'm sorry, controller versus keyboard. How do we take into account peripheries? Should we take into account peripheries? What about accessibility features? Are those like making killers? Because the other thing is like people are like, this makes the killer too easy. Like for Oni 180s for some reason. I don't fully agree with that argument, but let's entertain the
You have to
argument.
understand how Oni 180s work to actually land one. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Like
but
you can't like sure you could run past a survivor and then do an 180 and get the hit, but at that point you could have just hit the survivor to begin with.
well, yeah, and you know that comes back to the argument of like it's just fun, right? But it's like, okay, well, what if it's fun for you, but it just doesn't feel like because
Like
this
Scansel, it was fun on Chucky, but like miserable for everyone else.
it wasn't. I wouldn't even say it was miserable. They just left the loop. They would never get hit with it.
I mean, okay, we're talking about Dead by Daylight players here, okay?
Okay, fair enough.
Let's be nice to.
But it's like okay, that one wasn't even like. Don't get me wrong, it should have been removed, but that one wasn't even like hug text
It's
on
still not
Wesker.
removed. Smile.
Well, the fire up one doesn't count. That's a different bug.
It's still. It's
Did you see my clip of me doing it like 40 times in that one new loop?
yeah, at the double pallets. Yeah.
There are some people who demand to me that the fire up bug is fine and is actually intended.
I would love to know who those people are later.
Like, okay, like it's one thing to argue they're fine. That's one thing. Saying it's intended though, when there's literally code that says it's locked to 90 degrees. Funny thing is, I didn't even mention it, but it's actually easier to do on the PTB right now.
Yep.
Yeah, because they made Chucky's turning out of Scamper slightly, keyword there, slightly better. It's not enough to make much of a difference, but it's there. You feel it for sure.
Every time they add a patch, by the way, I always check if Scansel is fixed. I want that shit removed. I hate how I found out about that, and I wish I never did.
Yeah, I mean, Liz Alkring's gone for now. Actually, that's,
Let's not talk about that one.
but again, like from, and the one we didn't even really talk about too much was like the scroll wheel thing on Hag. Like, what the fuck, like, is that a problem? I kind of want to bring that one up and ask people if that's a problem.
No, because like it's so boring to verse, but like it's easily counterable. Like you act like you know that they're gonna scroll wheel, so you activate a trap at max distance and automatically pre-run,
Right.
and so they waste a trap and they're wasting time, and then like.
But isn't
Sure, they chase you.
But isn't having an influence over the match like that part of the problem?
Yeah,
Because
it is a problem, but it's also counterable. But that also limits console players, just like Oni 180, that they can't do that. Which is a whole nother thing. Well, it's not a whole nother thing. It's literally the exact same thing.
yeah,
Console players can't do it. It gives you an advantage, but it's counterable. And it's not hard to do.
And yeah, and I think that's something like we didn't even really touch on was like the whole counterability, and we did touch a little bit on the difficulty to do. The difficulty to do thing though is like it's just. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say using your scroll wheel on Hag is actually quite difficult. But like,
It hurts my fingers.
it hurts my fingers, my fingies. But like Billy, I think is a good example of this. It's still being debated right now if Billy is hard to flick with.
I cannot curve properly for the life of me.
Neither can I.
Like I suck at doing it.
I
can understand. Like if I learned enough, like yeah, I could probably do it. But like unlike other killers like Wesker or like Huntress, you can't just like play them a match and understand how it works. Like Billy, you actually have to have practice with in order to get it.
Have you you've seen some of my like slice and dice hits before, right, on Chucky?
Yeah.
How do you think I play? Do you think I play Blight well?
I mean, you could probably.
Yeah, about that.
You'll learn some mechanics.
Yeah, about that. I can't play Blight to save my life. I've tried so many times. But that's my point. Is like people say Blight is easy.
I mean, he can be if you're brutal zoning someone and then two rush hitting them.
Yeah, fair
Like
enough. Even
if you play him in the most brain dead way possible, yeah. But like at face value, no, he's not easy at all.
yeah, and somehow I managed to mess that up too.
I can if you want to learn play, I can teach you like how to play him in a fun
I
way.
I don't find Blight fun. Ironically,
You don't find being a pinball machine fun.
no, I don't know. So it's funny because everyone assumes that I'm the weirdest Chucky main. I swear to God, I don't like any dash killers in this game other than Chucky. I don't know why. I just don't find any of them fun. I don't like mobility characters in most games.
You like using your brain killers?
Yeah, I like
Kind of.
like methodical type stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's why like I really enjoy Knight. I really enjoy Clown to a degree. I know saying use your brain and playing Clown is an oxymoron. It requires more brain than I think people think it does. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's difficult. I'm not gonna say it's hard to
Like,
do.
the issue with all this though, like, because there's like, yeah, you have to have a brain to play these killers, but you also don't at the same time.
Mhm.
Like, you can play them in a brainless way and still have the same outcome in someone that plays them in like a really like good and professional way.
Yeah.
Like, I go for clips, I troll a lot when I play Blight, and I'm still getting like 4K threes, and then someone with 4 slowdown Blight who doesn't play him very well can also get a 4K three.
Mhm.
Like, the problem is like the player base isn't good enough, and they refuse to learn the counterplay for stuff, which is a big issue.
Well, I mean, I've they're
Like,
all
I understand
yeah.
people like they work a 9 to 5, they don't want to be like playing this game in their spare time all the time, try to learn the game. But like, go on Google, I guess, and just like, hey, how do I counter this killer? Like, I
Well,
didn't know how to counter Chucky until I was on your podcast. Like, I wouldn't say I didn't know how to. I wasn't the best at it because I
mhm.
treated him like Blake because I figured that was like the best equivalent to it. But then I realized I can just go around a corner and then he
I
can't hit me because he's facing the other way.
I was talking to I forget who it was, but they were asking like how to get better at the current Chucky. And the one thing I said to them that instantly made them better, you ever played chess? I know that's a terrible word in the Dead by Daylight community, but you ever played chess? Yeah,
Yeah,
treat Chucky like a knight piece. Stop thinking of your dash as
I
a
can see that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Stop thinking of your dash as a straight line. Think of it as an L. And I guarantee you, everyone I've said this to immediately starts getting better at the character. I know it's kind of the opposite, but yeah, but like, I mean, because it even comes into like play with like mechanical skill versus like macro skill and knowledge skill, and then like the idea of what is counterplay. Because I mean, I know I've argued this like a bazillion times. Because like in my mind, to me, I don't know, man. I don't think dodging is really as I don't consider dodging counterplay. I just don't.
No, that just works for every killer. It's
Yeah.
like it's a general counterplay, but not like killer specific.
Yeah, but like most killer specific counterplay, it has counterplay to the counterplay, and I think that's. But then, like, it has to get to a point to where everyone has to realize that at some point you are going to either go down or get outplayed. And it's weird because Dead by Daylight seems to be the only game where like people can't accept that for some reason.
Yeah, like people need to realize, like, especially like I tell them this all the time. If you're it's bad to game design wise, but like if you're versing a Blight, don't expect to get outs.
Mm.
Like set a like, and that's why people get frustrated. Like, oh, I can't escape as a Blight. Blight's such a strong OP killer. He's too easy to play. Like he wins all the time. Like set set the win con for yourself to be 4K at 2 gens, right?
Yeah.
And then when you get to 4K at 2 gens and you have like 3 people left, and you get to like a 4K at 0 gens, you'll be proud of yourself because you did better than you thought you would.
Yeah, and I've brought it up in the past before that one of the bigger problems is the win con, Or at least rephrase that. What people think the win con is. It's a 1v4 game. If 3 people get out, you won. I don't care if it got tunneled and died. You won. You lost, but you won.
Yeah, that's why I don't care. Like, I care about like endgame. If I'm going to try to random, I will never do that again.
Mm-hmm.
Like I made an oath I will never save in random in an endgame collapse scenario because usually it gives them an extra kill. But like if I can distract long enough and I die in endgame while all my team gets out, I consider that a win.
It is a win. But most people like will die at like 3 gens left to go. And then they won't even stay to watch the match, which I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying they won't. So they don't even know. Which I think is, the more I think about it, that might be an issue with the game design, huh?
Asymmetrical horror game not being very asymmetrical.
Well, no, I mean like it like in the sense of like once you die, especially in solo queue, you have no reason to stay and watch the match. Which means that even if you do get a 3 out because of your contribution, you don't even see it, let alone care.
Yeah, because people want queues in 1 minute, so why would they stay 5 more minutes to see how a match goes?
I mean, you could make some kind of incentive. Didn't TCM have an incentive? Did you get like an extra 1,000 experience or something for like staying to the end of the match?
Dude, I have never played TCM.
Oh, fair enough.
I did not go on that bandwagon because I knew that game was going to shut down in like a month.
I didn't go on that. I wasn't even on the VHS bandwagon. I didn't get to VHS till like 6 months after it came out. I miss that game. I miss that game so much.
It's just like everyone thinks for themselves unless like they're playing with a team, and even then, like I switch with people and we're all just yelling at each other the whole time.
Well, I mean, like even games like Marvel Rivals is a team-based hero shooter game, and I play with voice comms off, but like most of the time when teamwork, quote, teamwork happens, it's kind of accidental. You know, most people are still out for themselves in a game like that. It's just how we're wired. Even when you're playing with your friends, a lot of times like you're trying to like do something cool to quote show off, you know? Like you're so I don't know. It's again,
because selfishness. That's a human trait. Like that's normal.
I mean, if you wanna make this podcast another 6 hours, just ask me if there's actually a true selfless action.
Afterlife, is there consciousness in the human brain?
Well, no. There's one question you can ask me that will literally I have debated for hours, and that's is there truly a selfless action that a human can do? Truly.
Trade on Hook during Endgame collapse. That's my answer to that.
Well, because it's funny because a lot of I mean, you bring that up, but it's like, honestly, in in-game collapse, if 3 of you are at the gate and one person is on Hook.
Yeah, I'm leaving.
Yeah. Well, because the thing is, other than like the quote, like right thing to do, like, because you should like give it all to get that player.
Trolley problem.
Why?
Sacrifice 3 to get 1 out, or sacrifice 1 to get 3 out.
Yeah, why would you get that person? There's literally
especially like, dude, I was hooked basement against a trickster like a week ago, and my whole team tried to save me, and it turned into a 4K. I'm like, no, that's even if we weren't basement you should never save against a trickster that's camping a hook.
Mm-hmm.
Like that won't go well for anyone.
It's just, yeah. Did you just send me a GIF that says, "Here's the thing"? I just saw this.
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing. My friend will not stop using the emote in game. But yeah, I don't know. And like I said, it's just, I'm glad they're not removing it. I'm glad they were a little transparent about it. But I mean, again, it just needs to be case by case, and the determining
case by case, and the devs need to actually like speak with us more. Like this all comes down to what the devs think, and who gets proven right or not.
Right. Because, and again, I don't think they will, though, because then they have to keep to their word. And if there's an exception, even if it's a justifiable exception, people are going to give them shit for it.
They'll pull up like the records. Back in 2018, you said this and this.
What?
Why are you regretting this?
People did. People had. Remember the pig change?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We wanted to change pig's terror radius because we wanted to normalize the terror radius between movement speeds. And then Sadako and Wesker happened, and Chucky. Sadako and Wesker happened. And what the fuck did people do? They found those receipts.
Yeah, and now they're changing them back.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, that's... I can promise you that is the main reason they don't want to say what they were okay with. And why.
Like, honestly, even if they just said what they're okay with and didn't give a reason, I would be actually somewhat happy about that. I'm not even joking. I know some people won't, but I would be happy if they just told us like what they think is fun and keep in the game.
Didn't they confirm that Reshade is not cheating once?
Well, they confirm it by allowing it in their game. They have a choice to allow it to be launched using.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Literally, if a game does not allow it, the anti-cheat will trigger, and sometimes it will ban you for running Reshade.
Yeah, I think Hunt Showdown does that.
Yeah, or like tons of games do that. Like if they do not allow Reshade, they will not. The game wouldn't launch. Same with NVIDIA filters. NVIDIA filters won't work. It'll only show image sharpening for NVIDIA filters. It won't show all the other options if you don't allow it.
What about monitor ones? I mean,
you can't do anything.
Yeah, you can't really
detect. That's hardware, not software. You can't really change anything about that.
Yeah, and again,
unless you allow Vanguard into your monitor's hardware, I think you're fine.
I don't think anyone would want that. I mean, again, like
Vanguard detecting each pixel on your screen to see if you're shaking.
I don't know. This is a really random with Vanguard. I remember so many people complaining about Vanguard and like, oh, it's got a kernel level access and all this stuff. These same people. These are the same people, I swear, who would be like, there's so many cheaters in this game.
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways.
But yeah, that's literally the Reshade debate. Like when people say, like, oh, Reshade's unfair because I'm on console and I can't use Reshade, or like I can't download Reshade because it doesn't work or something. I'm like, there's plenty other options you can use, and the devs have not openly admitted, but like insinuated they allow it because you're allowed to launch the game with it.
Yeah, it's like the crosshair
Plus, I think they allow it because their colorblind settings are shit as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like the crosshair thing. They've said straight up, yeah, use a crosshair if you want. I mean, that leads us to another debate, of should they fix the colorblind modes, which they should, and should they add
actually have this P2B, they fixed some of it.
I forgot they did. I didn't get to test it. I forgot.
I used them. I could actually tell a difference.
Can I uninstall Reshade now?
Your game will look like shit. But yeah. But like,
did you know I didn't use Reshade until like 2 months ago? Not even like a month ago. Yeah.
How do you like Reshade now?
I don't notice much of a difference.
Wait till you get the lean filters, and you'll notice a difference.
Well, because I use the pretty subtle ones, the subtle changes. The only reason I use Reshade isn't even for me. I use it so my it looks better for chat.
Dude, I remember True Talent saying that. Like, I only have filters for my stream. I don't use filters personally. I remember him saying.
Well, I don't mean it like that. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say
I know what you mean. Use it like more so to help your stream look better than you to have like a quote unquote advantage.
Yeah, but I don't even think it's.
Like, can you tell on my clips I'm using Reshade?
Yes.
If I wasn't on like Irie or like Borgo.
Yes, I can 100% tell.
Yeah.
And
I'm also using a crosshair in this clip, but it's on my monitor.
How the fuck would I know that?
Exactly.
Yeah, I can just because
and I also have colorblind filters on my monitor, so it looks completely different than.
But like,
on the screen.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, Reshade is just like. Also, I don't think there's any Ormond clips in here. Do you know how to make Ormond look better?
There is one Ormond clip in here,
Okay, how
I
the
think.
fuck do
Well,
you
actually,
make...
no, that game didn't record. I
I,
lied to
I
you.
don't understand. Like, every other... Like, my gameplay footage usually looks bad anyways because of bitrate and whatever. But for some reason, Ormond, no matter what I do, always looks like ass. And I don't know why. Like, it looks crunchy every single time I get any footage from Ormond. And I don't know why.
Here, I have a photo of Ormond. 1 second. It's a bit blurry because I have a motion thing on Reshade. I have motion blur on
Mm-hmm.
because it makes the game look pretty. Um, but these are the filters I use basically everywhere. But like that's how mine looks.
No, your Ormond still looks as bad as mine.
Is it like too colorful or like what?
No, it just... I don't know how to explain it. It just... It looks... It looks pixelated.
Well, no, that's anti-aliasing. I have that off because it's hard to see when anti-aliasing is on, especially in this game because it's blurry.
Is that what it is? Is it just
Yeah,
an anti-aliasing?
if things are pixelated, that's your anti-aliasing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the right one looks fine. I actually love the new Ormond map. It looks great. It's only Ormond I notice it on, though.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe my footage looks fine and I'm just crazy. But, like, I don't know. Like, Ormond just always looks, like, really pixelated to me. And my ongoing theory was it was the fog that's on Ormond, but I guess not.
Well, that also could be the reason because then the fog's more pixely as well.
Yeah, maybe. I'll look into it. Maybe I'll... Should I have anti-aliasing on or off?
It's preference. If you don't want pixelation, turn it on.
Turn it on? Okay. Is it on by... Isn't it
Yeah.
on by default?
I don't know. Well, did you ever change your game files?
No.
Okay. Make sure it's on. Make sure your TAA or whatever this game uses is at max.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then also make sure like the game's on like a higher quality.
I mean, I have it on ultras. I have it on ultra at almost all times. That's why it bothers me so much. I have it on ultra, and I also stream at 10,000 kbps.
I record at 60K.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's so weird. Like, all of my stuff. Like, if I told you what I'm running all of my stuff on, and the internet speeds I have, my game should look crisp and perfect, and it just doesn't. And I don't know why.
Well, it's also Dead by Daylight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
It's also Dead by Daylight.
yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, like, hopefully the devs come out at some point and say something, because I know Wesker players are fucking scared right now.
Oh no, the Reaper's coming for them next for sure.
Well, I mean, the thing with it, and like I mentioned earlier, if the only reason you're enjoying Wesker, and this isn't me saying get rid of them, right? Get rid of the techs. But if that's the only thing you enjoy about the character, I don't think Dead by Daylight is the game.
Or even Wesker is like just the game for you.
Yeah, or like Wesker's the killer for you. Again, we talked about it, that Ken is basically going to be the new Wesker, because they took the idea of the text and made it a character. Which is going to be very interesting to see over the next coming months, because I mean, people fucking lose their minds where Wesker belongs on a tier list. I can only imagine where Ken's going. I already see some people saying S tier. I see some people saying, like, he's the worst killer in the game. He's going to be an extremely polarizing killer. Then again, I mean, a similar thing happened with Freddy, so what the fuck do I know? Like, some people were saying Freddy was like one of the best killers in the game now, and some people were saying he's still one of the worst killers in the game, and no one could pick a fucking middle ground for some reason, because they never can.
People are stinky and dumb also.
Well, and then, the relevancy and the point of tier lists also gets brought up. So, like, does it matter if Freddy is S tier or not? Does it matter that we know that?
It
Genuinely.
shouldn't matter what killer's better than the others either, to be fair.
No, just play what you like. Just play what you like. Again, like, Chucky, like, isn't that great. I'd say he's low B tier. That's where I would put Chucky right now. It's low B tier. You're gonna, like, struggle maybe once every, like, 10 games or so. Unless you're unlucky like me and somehow those 1 in 10 games happen 5 games in a row for over the course of 2 days. God, I got so unlucky that night. Oh my god. So that night, by the way, I got in order, no map offerings. And mind you, I was running an in-game build, so no slowdown or anything. I got Eerie of Crows into Badham, into Larry's, into Gideon's. I lost my motherfucking mind.
Remember, no repeated maps.
Technically, it wasn't any repeated maps. I just got the literal 4 worst maps in the game.
Because you were win streaking, so they have to give you like your worst maps you play on. That's why, to lower your MMR.
Because I was accidentally win streaking.
Yes.
Have you watched me play live before?
Not live, but I've seen your videos.
Yeah. Would you say I'm that tryhardy? Because I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't either. Like people say I'm tryhardy. Like sure, like if you're all injured and surrounding the person I just downed, yes, I will slug for the 4K.
I mean,
But like otherwise, no, I'm literally gonna be throwing for.
like that's the thing. I hate the word tryhard. I really do. It's lost all meaning.
Tryhard just means I'm better than you.
Well, because that's the thing. What I'm saying with that, yeah, too, is like people are like, don't play sweaty. Okay, I won't. Okay, well, also don't try hard. Okay, what if I'm just good at the game? Well, then be worse. So I should just play bad on purpose.
Play bad to equal. Yeah, let me only use 3 rushes by the way to balance it out. Actually, no, 2 rushes. That's good.
Like, because
Let's get
the argument is like don't bring busted builds or whatever. Okay, well, that's a different topic. But like once you're in the match, the way some
And
people
plus,
word it,
if I don't bring a busted build, what if all 4 other people in my online video game bring busted builds? What do I do then?
you just lose.
Do they have to not use their perks?
You just lose. You just accept the loss and move on. Which I mean, I that wasn't me like criticizing. I'm just saying it's the argument.
Yeah.
I mean, like when I'm like getting footage for like some of my stupid builds, I'm not expecting to win most of my matches. I just happen to. But like again, like I will get those teams every now and again, just not all the time. I don't know. That leads into like a Cold War, like mutually assured destruction kind of thing, you know? It's like, well, I won't bring the best builds if you don't bring the best builds, and then when you do, then I start doing it all the time. I mean, again, bringing back Marvel Rivals, it's like the triple support thing, right? Like, I mean,
No one knows how to run triple support, yet they claim it's like the best thing in the game.
yeah, but not even that. But my argument wasn't even that it was necessarily good. I just got sick of seeing it. That was it. That was my problem with it. That's my problem with like Dead by Daylight, like meta builds. I don't care if they're OP or good or bad. I just get sick of seeing the same fucking build over and over and over again.
Yeah, like if I get a person down and they have DS, I'm assuming they have Dead Hard too, so I bait it out. I see them use Dead Hard, I down them, they DC. Like
Yeah.
this won't work on me if I've seen it, if I've read this book before.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I talked to a gaming athlete about this before, where it's like, if survivors started bringing more off meta builds, I can promise you they'd actually probably win more games.
Yeah, because the meta requires an existing meta to be existing.
Mm-hmm.
Like if that's why slugging meta or like 4 chase perks work so well because everyone's bringing anti-tunnel and chase perks.
Right.
So if you deny both of those, what else can they do, right? It's like,
Well, yeah, and but again, it's like it's not even necessarily that. It's like if you're bringing like I don't know, fucking smash hit, like is it like a good perk? No, but like I mean, if you get use out of it, and I can promise you because this has happened to me before. If I notice someone has smash hit, believe me, I'm respecting more pallets all of a sudden.
yeah, and then in return, you might get an extra loop out of it because they're trying to respect one of your perks. Like,
Right. Yeah, but like, and if one survivor has that, and then one has sprint burst, and the other has balanced landing, and then the other has dead hard, or I don't fucking know what's the other one. I'm missing one. Did I miss one?
Dead
Life,
hard.
life. I missed life. Yeah,
Life.
yeah. It's like okay, well now I have to account for all four of these differing exhaustion perks on these four differing people in differing situations. Doesn't
Yes,
seem
and
like
then I can run genetic limits and then cancel all of them out.
yes, this is true. This is true. Or Langwin touch. Which doesn't counter sprint burst, but that's because nothing does.
Fearmonger or Mindbreaker, my bad. I shouldn't dead name it. Mindbreaker
Actually,
actually counters it. Like if you use your sprint burst at the start of the match, and then go on a gen, you won't have sprint burst for the next chase.
this is true.
That's like
but
this is.
but it also means that.
Here's the thing.
But here's the thing: if they are sitting on a gen later and their exhaustion has already been if their exhaustion cooldown has gone down and they sit on the gen for the 5 seconds that Fearmonger does, that means when they start pre-running away from you, they'll get sprint burst later in the chase,
Yeah.
which could make it last longer. So it actually hurts you.
That's why I love sprint burst.
So even the counter to sprint burst doesn't counter it; actually makes it better in some situations. But like, I don't know. Again, it's just like because the thing is like when I'm playing against a survivor, it's like I know what the meta is. I know what they're bringing. So it's like okay, well I just do this. It's like oh they bring finesse dramaturgy. Okay, well I just try to play around it as best I can because I know what they have. Oh, they have dead hard because
they don't. Yeah.
Like, and that's not to say it's necessarily a good or healthy thing, like old Dead Hard, which is a very similar thing, but like I just assume everyone has DS Unbreakable. I just assume everyone has fucking Dead Hard off the record.
Like as soon as I see one perk in a survivor's loadout, I can guess their next like 2 perks just because quote unquote meta. Like if I see someone have life, I'm assuming they have resilience and or windows. Like
Yeah. Same with if I see finesse, I just automatically assume dramaturgy or the other way around.
yeah.
And then probably Chemtrap because I don't know why people weren't Chemtrap on that build. I legitimately don't understand the reason.
If I see Chemtrap, I'm expecting flashbang. And vice versa.
Yeah, that too. But again, like if people just started running off meta stuff, I can promise you it would throw the killer off so much. It will throw them off so much. It's the old. I mean, you still have to be good, but like there's the old adage of, the best swordsman doesn't fear the second greatest; he fears the worst.
Yeah.
If I don't know what the fuck you're going to do, how the fuck...
you can't read a book that isn't written.
Yeah.
That's what I love saying. Is like if I'm versing a bad survivor, I say that they're so bad they're good. Like
yeah.
like I was versing a Rebecca and she did not know how to path against me. She would run edge map. So I'm trying to do bump logic around a tile, expand her to camp it. I swing through the pallet. I see her sitting behind a Z wall. I'm like, this is something I would do, but I do it on purpose. She did it because she doesn't know what she's doing.
It
It
like
really caught me so off guard.
the amount of times I will like hold a spot on Chucky, expecting them to loop, like not even run into me, just like hold a check spot or something, right, and actually loop, and they just run away. And then I look at their thing, and it turns out they're just a really new player. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
shit.
They're so bad that they're good.
Yeah, it's have you seen Tremors before?
Yes.
What's the line in the second movie when they're just like, you mean they've been acting so smart because they're so stupid? Oh. Well, Code, I think we lost the plot a while ago.
We lost it. Okay, we lost it when we started talking After peripherals, after that, I think
Yeah.
we lost it.
But
I don't know if you want to keep all that stuff afterwards.
oh no, I will. It's still fun. It's still, I think it's a. Do you not think we had an interesting conversation? Is that what you're telling me here?
Yeah, no, it sucked. You didn't have any passion.
I have no passion. I cut you off all the time when I definitely just like would slowly say a word to indicate I'm ready to say something. That's cutting you off,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe the people making the comments are the ones who've never had a conversation before. You know what? Well, to those listening,
If
oh, go ahead.
yeah, if that guy shows up again,
Oh, they
and
can't.
it's
They're
like,
banned.
oh, he's talking about me. You banned him.
Yeah, I banned them. What do you mean?
No, because no. Here's the thing. If you don't ban them, that means they come back more. Sure, they leave a dislike, but they're also watching your video and leaving a comment.
Well, yeah, I know that, but I don't want their view or their comment. I don't care. See, I don't have passion. See, no, I don't know. I'd rather, it's the thing on Twitch. Like, I ban anyone, and like, I used to like think about it really hard, and then I don't know. I was talking to somebody about it, and I was just like, listen, if you're just being negative or like mean to me in the comments, I don't really give a shit. You're gone. Like, I'm not.
Yeah, like I understand like when streamers or like YouTubers do that. It's like you can choose who you don't want in your community. Like I fully understand that, right? But I got banned from like a 25K follower Twitch account,
Mhm.
and he was like, "You didn't take hits for me," and when we were versing a spirit, by the way, that was tunneling,
Mhm.
you didn't take hits for me, so I almost died. And I was like, "You shouldn't take hits against a spirit because it's a stronger killer, and she can the snowball and put us in an unfavorable position." Like, oh, that's just your excuse. And he's like, and then he banned me. He's like, get out of my chat. He's like, if they don't follow in the first 10 seconds, I'll just ban them. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? This guy is partner, by the way. Like, he's on my live channel list right now as I'm talking about him.
I'm sorry. I have to show you this meme that I just saw on Twitter. I know this is completely irrelevant. This just this lit. I don't know. This put a smile on my face.
Yeah.
I'll show people. We're still. It's great. Man. Well, for those listening on the YouTubes, this has been going on for quite a while. Am I still on my desktop? No, okay. I will go ahead and end this here. Code stuff will be below. By the way, did you get banned on Twitch?
No? Why? Huh?
I thought I saw you say something about it earlier on Twitter.
No, I got banned. I was talking about that 25K follower.
Oh, that's the one
I
you were
got banned
talking about.
from-
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I got banned from someone's chat.
Oh, okay. That
Yo,
makes way
Tekken
more
suck
sense.
with that one. I agree.
But just what was I going to say? I just this debate, quote unquote debate, is just again, it's just a hard one to have. Like in the sense of like, there's really no conclusion any of us can rationally come to. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day what either you, me, or Twitter thinks.
It all comes down to the devs and if they want to fess up to what's going in between those 2 years of them.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, it's not the problem. It's just like it's just the issue with having this debate at all. It's like at the end of the day, do we even need to have the debate, or like should the debate really switch to the devs need to tell us more, or the devs need to make their stance clear? Like rather than having the debate of are Oni 180s an exploit or tech, or should they be removed, blah blah blah, the conversation should more switch to what does behavior actually think about techs and exploits? Which ones are they fine with? Which ones aren't they fine with? That's what I feel like this has really been leading to. I don't know. But in any case,
It comes down to the devs. We can't really do anything about it, but
still fun to talk
Trying to
about.
get our voice out to make them listen.
Yeah. Still fun to talk about and complain about controller players for like an hour. I just lost half my subs. I can promise you that. You gotta start from the bottom again. It's great. But Code, I want to appreciate you for coming on as always. I know was this your? I don't even remember. Was this your idea or my idea?
This was like, I asked if you wanted to have it, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I was thinking about that." And it just kind of just went on from there.
I don't know. Sometimes like people come to me and I'm like cool, and I kind of forget.
You forget that like you have a fan base and like are popular.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't mean it like that. Now you're making me sound like a narcissist. No, I mean, I meant like sometimes like I'll do these and like especially for like the more esoteric topics like this, where I'm like, did I come up with this or did they come up with this? I don't remember. Whose idea was this?
You're uncured. You're getting memory loss. You have dementia.
I've got dementia at 30. Let's go. Also, by the time this is out, I guess I can say this now. The charity live stream for Child's Play is probably happening. If this isn't happening when this is live, I'm sorry, but you know, whatever. You guys can head over to my Twitch and check that out and go donate so kids can play with toys.
You guys should do that.
Yes. Yeah. I'll probably be in a Charles Lee cosplay. You'll get to see me on cam for once. It only happens like once a year. Yeah. But in any case, for the YouTube viewers, I love you guys. Code stuff will be below, as always. And yeah, have a good one. Bye.
Bye bye.